Welcome to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
On 1-2, Rizzo. Swings and misses. Blake Trinan digs deep. And the Dodgers are 3 outs away from a world championship. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
The challenge as a coach is you're always trying to fix problems, right? And you're trying to identify, hey, what's going on? How can I fix it? How can I be better? And sometimes it's too much, especially young players, and allowing them to play fast and not give them too much information and trust what they see with their eyes. And obviously there's always the alignment, the assignment, and then, go do my job. And so there's a fine line in between it. The older they get, the more mature they are, the more they understand. So the more that you can feed them that type of information, and you got to understand the line for each guy may be a little bit different.
Good morning. Welcome into Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. What's up, DB?
How we doing?
I'm good. How are you? That's the better question.
I'm cool, man.
You got a little world championship last night.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy about that.
Yeah? I can tell on your face.
Oh. It's kind of just how I am.
I know. I'm giving you a hard time. You're pretty low key, like you're laid back.
I'm very, very, very happy. I just wanted to see them get another one non-shortened season.
Yeah, it feels more real.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And this one, Shafe and I kind of have an ongoing joke. I am not trying to sell you on the improbable.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a heck of a run for a team that finally was rewarded for being built with top to bottom.
Yeah.
This is grimy.
Yeah.
It was just
especially the pitching staff.
And everybody, here's the proverbial eye roll, right? But it's like similar to Chiefs fan when they have the best player in the league. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, look at this little plucky offense. No, but I say it's cool.
Yeah.
It is, and it was the Yankees, and it was historic because of the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
It drew big numbers. And I think the thing that I'm the most – so there's two things. You get this with my personality. They did it the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
Like even taking the bump last night, it's like, wait a minute, what happened to the matchup?
Yeah, you thought you finally got past the bullpen game.
Yeah.
And then Flaherty comes out and just poops the bed.
Yeah.
And you're like, I guess we have another bullpen game.
It's like, 3-0, right? That's what we're on already?
Yeah.
This 3. So I'm in the kitchen.
Real quick, did you hear the radio broadcast at all?
Yeah.
So they're like, I think 4th, 5th inning, they're already talking about
coming. Yeah.
Who's going to pitch next?
Doom and gloom.
Yeah, they were freaking out. They're going, well, who are the Dodgers going to send out there? You're going to have to send out your Game 7 start, like losing their minds.
Yeah. So I like that because they had to overcome it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing was a team that I didn't think was very fundamentally sound all year. And I said that this isn't like revisionist. I told you, like, this is
100 times.
Is not a.
That's why you thought they could either get bounced early or
like
win the World Series.
No, the Dodgers, right?
Oh, I thought you said this about the Yankees,
too. Yeah,
too.
I did. I said, no, the Dodgers not good fundamentals, kind of leaky a little bit. And I said, it's weird. The team was running the bases and hitting and running. And then last night to see them, like, do the little things.
Mm-hmm.
So I clearly love baseball, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Because it's hard.
It's
ridiculously hard. And even last night with all the guys that could leave the ballpark and running up there at 99 or 100, it came down to like
that 5-run inning wasn't
fun. It came down to fundamentals.
Yeah, and taking advantage of mistakes.
And for as much as the Yankees were kicking it around, the Dodgers still ran the bases like they're supposed to.
Yeah, you had to take advantage of it,
right? Like you could have been loafing, lollygagging, kind of taking things for granted,
or just not have situational awareness enough to make the right decision.
So a team that I didn't feel like had always had super sound fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they had a good postseason with that.
Yeah, well, especially when in contrast to the Yankees, who had some of the same fundamental issues.
It's sad that I feel bad. Like I felt awful.
I felt awful for some of the players.
I wanted to say to Matt DeMarinis, and he's so like just a good dude, right? And so we're basically I'm allowing him to. I'm allowing him. We're texting through the game.
Yeah.
Which is rare for me.
It's especially rare for you with somebody who's a fan of the opposing team.
Yeah, but
like it's pretty rare for you in general.
He's just this. He's a truth teller.
Terrific dude.
Right. He's just a truth teller. So I know obviously hundreds of Yankees fans, and I'm like, I want to win this game, but I don't want to win it like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I felt bad for Matt in the moment.
It was atrocious, and then I get uncomfortable watching people squirm.
Yeah. So that's where I was.
They kept panning the camera to Boone, and he kept taking these big gulps of water. And then Smoltz was. I wonder, how do you think the nation feels about Smoltz?
I don't know. I don't mind him.
Me neither.
I kind of like him.
I know because at the end of the day, he's gonna give you a pitcher's perspective,
and I like that.
And so it gets a little, I don't know the word, but he can be. I wonder
how people feel about him.
Yeah.
I think he's pretty good
because just the gushing over Cole. I understood, right? Oh, they're reaching back in '99.
I think he just appreciates how hard it is.
Yeah, 100%. But he didn't really go all in on not covering first base either.
No, like that. Yeah, you probably need to.
You know what I mean? It's like, well, I mean, part of the reason that they're in this deal is
100%.
We got caught watching the paint dry.
100%.
Right. So, but then he would turn around and say, well, you got to pick your guys up, which I love. Right. Like, I got you. But I wonder that, I mean, New York, Judge, the fly ball, like it's probably going to be extremely critical.
Yeah. I wonder if in the moment, because not covering first base made it 5-1, right?
Yep.
So I wonder if in the moment he's like, it's 5-1. It's not that big of a deal. And then all the other errors happened. Yeah. And so he's like, Garrett Cole's really was not the most egregious there. Yeah. You know?
But his was
the mental.
His was the easiest to pull off outside of the fly ball to center field.
Let me ask you this, and if the answer is if you shoot me down, that's fine. Are we 100% sure he's beaten Mookie to first base anyway?
I'm not 100% sure, but
you got to give yourself a chance.
Yeah. And so which was more apt to happen? Rizzo could have sprinted to the bag?
Yeah, I didn't think Rizzo was sprinting to the bag either.
He was pretty casual.
And he was pretty far away.
But I think he was casual because he thought Cole was going to be there.
Yeah. I think he thought he was too far away to beat Mookie to the bag, which I agree.
Because Mookie didn't really drop it into low gear until about halfway.
Yeah, down. When he realized that nobody was that he could.
Then it became a foot race.
Yeah, it was an odd game, just the way it played out. But then after that 5-run inning, it became.
Can I just tell you, as a former shortstop turned outfielder, I hate the play going to my right to make a play at third base.
Yeah, you just don't do it very often. It's a throw you don't almost never make.
Yeah.
To a direction you almost never make.
And you know this.
The muscle memory matters.
He was yours for a second. Kike Hernandez is a winner.
I love Kike.
He is a winner.
He's one of the few dudes in the last handful of years that have been a Red Sox that I really, really enjoyed. And of course they got rid of him.
In my former life, I took a call from a Red Sox fan that was asking me what they were getting with Kike. And I'm like, a guy that will be very good for you when it matters.
I like that dude a lot. And he was really good for the Red Sox when it matters. He's really good for the Dodgers when it matters.
Dude, he's just clutch.
Really, really good ball player. Seems like a guy that they enjoy being around, like like a clubhouse guy.
And I tell you, like historically, like I'm fairly okay on social media. Like I pick and choose my spots if I want to go in. A lot of times I don't.
You have better self-control than I do.
Well, I mean, prime example. 2 days ago, right? I'm like, obviously the West Side deal is personal. Right?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm like, hey man, thoughts and prayers to the West Side community. Guy tweets at me, you gotta appreciate the fake thoughts and prayers. What are you actually gonna do about it? I'm like, wow, like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
yeah.
I'm gonna go buy those girls groceries and we're gonna rally around the family, and I'm gonna try to figure out, like during the broadcast on Saturday when there's visitation in the funeral, like really, bro?
Yeah.
Like this is where you're going. But I didn't say any of that.
Right.
I said, be better.
Yeah.
Guy yesterday, hey, you know why the Dodgers are winning in the postseason? Because Kershaw's not pitching. I was like, Wow.
Yeah, I bet they
That's-
were thrilled they didn't have Kershaw in the last 2 games.
Like, that's not very nice.
Like, you know,
Like, I mean, people are just. I mean, people are weird.
dummies is the word you're
But
looking
it's
for.
no, and he may not have been being mean spirited. I don't know. He may not have been being mean spirited.
You know, I tell you, sometimes you give people the benefit of the doubt when they probably don't deserve it. I think that's happening right now.
Well, he may not have been.
He's either incredibly sarcastic,
Yeah,
and he's trolling other people, or he was 100% being mean-spirited.
that's fine.
Those are only 2 options there.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've flushed that, and I've moved on to Saturday because of all the teams that I cheer for, this is the most important game. So it's like I quickly, it's like I didn't allow myself.
You didn't even give yourself the 24-hour rule?
It's the coach and me.
You don't give yourself the 24 hours?
I mean, I gave it 6.
That's not very long. The game was almost that long.
It's plenty. I couldn't. I'm different when I can't directly impact it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh.
So do you
that
enjoy
didn't
it?
have anything to do with me. That's cool, but I love those guys though.
Do you enjoy it for more time or less time when you can directly impact it?
Probably more.
Are you sure?
I think so.
Because I think you seem like a guy that's more likely to just be like, all right, we did it. Now what's next? If you can directly impact it.
Does it matter where it was won? I mean, but it's kind of sweet that it was won in New York.
Now, I will say this.
What's that?
I will say this. No, I won't.
Come on.
If we can put ourselves in position to, as I choke up, win a state championship in football, this one will be different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's, I mean,
you guys are going through it.
And it wasn't supposed to be that way. So it
started different.
So I allowed myself to think, what if?
Yeah.
All we've said as a team is just give us a chance. Just give us a chance. And again, like the Dodgers, not some plucky underdog.
Sure.
But we know full well what could potentially be waiting.
100%.
Right? So it's just like,
if
we're gonna get our teeth kicked, like whatever happens, like just give us a chance. Give us a chance at it. So like the opportunity, like, I mean, it would be different. It would be different.
That's
so that's an honest,
non-coach
speak answer to that question. I'm not going to give you the one game at a time thing, or
no, I get it.
You know, we all understand it starts with Westview and then the winner of Papio Central, and
which would be a good one.
Yeah,
Papio Central is going to be really interesting. I think.
So quietly, I would like to watch that.
Yeah.
Like real time, because you can kind of get a feel, for what's going on, more than you can just watching tape.
Yeah, I haven't decided if I'm gonna stream that one or if I'm gonna.
There's some doozies.
Yeah, there's a ton of good matchups.
There's some doozies
because
the seedings are all wonky.
There's a part of me that wants to go down to Seacrest.
Oh yeah,
see my boys.
Yeah,
but I also really kind of want to see Papio Central.
So I talked to him. This is
Coach Bro?
Yeah.
Probably.
So it was a road trip, and it was almost my whole way down to Lincoln.
Yeah.
And it's not, I mean, it's 30 whatever minutes.
Yeah.
But I think I called right when I got in the car until I was pulling up. Like, he's a joy.
Yeah, he doesn't know me yet, but he's going to be my guy.
Because you just know his person. Like, he's just the eternal.
Yeah.
He just.
Also, I kind of know the types of guys you typically ride with.
Yeah.
And unless they're crazy like Timo's or somebody. No, I'm just kidding. I like Timo's.
That's my dude.
I might like Timo's more than you do.
Yeah. Well, you can afford to hang out with him more than I can. His son is really flourishing at West Side too, so that's cool to watch. Yeah. I want them. I try not to root for it because there's lots and lots of coaches that I like.
Sure.
In the Metro.
But you want to see him have success.
And it's hard. This is the first time he's had to he's leading a program in the big time spotlight. He's got a couple key things he's got to overcome that you don't plan on.
Nope.
So not saying I'm openly rooting, but it's okay if you openly root. I'm not going to hammer you for.
I mean, it's all right. We all know, like, deep down, Miller North guy. You're a Miller North guy too, just in your heart.
I have some.
You got some connections.
I do have some Miller North in me.
See, that's right. Just like I got some West Side.
But I wouldn't go. I wouldn't. That's like not my next. But that's not my.
Well, we'll work on that. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
we'll see what we can make happen.
It's interesting. We'll talk to Coach Mackey tomorrow, and obviously I had Coach at Central and. Community guy, Boys and Girls Club, kids, late start at coaching. It's October, right? And it's my dad's birthday is in this month. And I'm thinking, you know what? This is the school that he always wanted me to go to. And here we are talking.
Yeah, Coach Mackey. To
Coach Mackey. They've made, is this what he's always envisioned?
Starting to turn this thing around in the Metro.
It's like, I wonder what he would ask him.
Huh.
So like all sorts of weird things go through my mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that.
So I've moved on past the World Series.
The World Series already. That's all right. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it for your 6 hours.
Yeah, I did. I did. It was a heck of some. I liked Walker Buehler getting a chance to close that out.
Yeah,
never healthy. He had to battle. So now I've moved on to free agency.
I will say my last thing on the World Series, you're kind of talking about like feeling like bad and not like enjoying watching people squirm. I do feel bad for players in that moment as they're making critical errors, because
who was that in the college in the super regionals? They couldn't throw a strike. Was that Oregon?
Oh,
yeah, it was Oregon.
I think so. And you're just watching them like melt down real time.
Yeah, I'm watching the squirt guns.
Yeah, I think you were texting me while that was happening.
I'm like, you guys have no idea how lonely this dude is on his 42nd pitch,
especially as a pitcher, because like you're just standing out there.
Did you at any point wonder when they were going to talk to Cole?
Not real time.
I did. It seemed like an eternity.
Yeah. It did,
and maybe he's not. So
maybe he's not like that.
Yeah, so that's where I don't know
if that's not what.
I mean, he's a bull. Like I know what I see when he's on the mound, but maybe this felt like he wasn't approachable.
Yeah, or maybe that's not.
But that pitch clock is going, and it is unraveling.
Yeah,
like you're just not.
That's kind of the hard thing about the pitch clock that people don't really talk about is when it starts to go off the rails a little bit.
Yeah,
it can snowball super fast because you can't just step off the mound and take your dear sweet time. You remember guys used to like step off and like grab the rosin bag and take a couple laps and whatever. You can't do that anymore. Nope. It's like, hey, you got to get back and throw again immediately.
You know the thing that I hate about the pitch clock the most?
What's that?
I think it was a total unintended consequence the way people manipulate it. But because the gamesmanship is part of it. I can't stand the pitch clock when you can only throw to first base, less than twice, because base runners, they'll time that thing
100%. Yeah,
and it's like, then you give me a bigger bag. It's like,
Also, you look at like if they
so that part I can't stand that.
Yeah,
because it takes the strategy out of it
as a base run, as like a base stealer.
Yeah,
and a pitcher catcher combo.
And it does speed.
It speeds you up.
It does speed the pitcher up too.
Like that's a thing that, you're talking about pace of play and things like that. But when it starts to, and last night was maybe the first time I really noticed it
because of the fifth inning.
Yeah, and the magnitude of the situation, right?
Yeah.
Because regular season baseball, it's like, okay, things get away from you, you pull a guy, whatever. Like there's 162 games. It's not that big of a deal, right? Like in that moment, you could feel how sped up it felt like Garrett Cole was.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like that was impacting how that inning went.
So, and when you're watching his mannerisms, like the one thing I wanted to know, I was like, is somebody not going to go talk to him?
Yeah.
Or is he not approachable?
Yeah, maybe he's just not that type of guy.
I'm telling
mentally,
you,
I don't know.
The Yankees will go back and they'll look at the physical part of that inning, but it just
the mental, like it obviously snowballed on him.
They wet the bed.
Yeah, it obviously got on top of him.
So just hey, get it.
Like just take a minute.
But then I was thinking, well, shoot, maybe they feel bad because everybody took their turn screwing it up, except for probably Chisholm.
Yeah.
I don't think. I mean, that would have been a tough pick at third, but Rizzo had his deal.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just like
obviously Cole,
who felt like
Judge,
who felt like they had the stones to
actually say something
to slow that thing down. And then they would pan the camera over to the dugouts, and there was Boone taking another drink.
That's almost got to be a Boone situation, right?
Go talk to him.
At least for the sake, even if Garrett Cole's like not the type of guy you want to go talk to, go out to him and just be like, hey, I know you don't need this, but I got to give the other guys a minute to collect themselves, right? But it was, you almost wonder if, I brought this up with John Smoltz, maybe not realizing the magnitude, because when you're up 5-0, you can kind of get in this mentality of like, we gave up one, it's okay.
Although he did give an inkling when it was first and third after, I mean, he was just gushing over Luck striking out.
Yeah.
I was like, really, Smoltz? Like that's a little extra.
At least he, when he was coming off the mound, when he was done, he actually kind of raised his hand to acknowledge the crowd when they were cheering at him. I was wondering if he was going to do that.
Because you realize the bulk of that damage from scoring was done with 2 outs.
All of it.
Especially after Ohtani.
They hadn't scored until 2 outs.
Yeah, I meant like
but the actual
get the guys on.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm thinking to myself, wow, he's struck out Luggs. He's got Ohtani, who looked pretty clueless.
Yeah, he did not look good last few games.
But his swing velocity was fine. So I didn't understand.
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. I'm not going to harp on Ohtani.
Your favorite Dodger?
I don't dislike him. I just don't openly cheer.
I know.
LeBron is different. By the way, they get dusted.
At least Bronny scored his first points.
Yeah, I heaved a little. I'm so bad. For as sentimental as I was the first 10 minutes, it's back to being a Richard head with Bronny. But yeah. It's like 2 outs. Like that. It's just a backbreaker.
Yeah.
An absolute backbreaker.
That's why I kind of wonder, because there was 2 outs, because it was happening 1 run at a time, right? Like if they had a 3-run homer.
Am I the only one that wonders where Judge was playing on Teoscar Hernandez? Like, it didn't seem like that one hopper didn't deserve a better defensive play.
Yeah, like that ball, if you're positioned correctly, I think that ball gets caught most of the time. Unless it was, I don't know.
I didn't see if they were playing him straight away or not.
Yeah,
I don't think Teoscar thought he hit it like that. It's kind of one-handed.
Maybe it carried way, like maybe Judge is looking at the swing and it carries way further than he thinks it's going to, so he gets a bad jump on it. Yeah. You know, maybe I couldn't tell where Judge was, but if it's coming straight at him, maybe
that one hop before the track, right?
I think right on the track. I thought.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's a ball that gets caught a lot.
It seems like it.
Right. I mean,
I'd like to see the pre-pitch alignment.
Yeah, I didn't see where he was, but if it's right at him, I don't know. I don't know if I felt the worst for Judge, but that was pretty rough. Yeah. That wasn't great for a guy that's like, that's tough for him because how good he's been in New York, and that's going to turn on him in a hurry.
Yeah. It could beat him twice, definitely.
Coming up on the show today, we've got Coach Laura Kuhn from Omaha Supernovas. At 8:45, we've got Brian Edwards from our Vegas Insider. And at 9, we've got Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. I also did a deep dive on coaches succeeding early in college football. We'll get to that as well. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. It's Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. 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 We will be back.
That's the runner at third.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
That's the runner at third. Freeman at first, the tying run. The 1-2 pitch to Teoscar Hernandez. In the air to left center field. Judge on the run. Dead sprint now to the track, and it's over his head. That's in to score. Freddie Freeman for the plate, and this game has been turned upside down. The Yankees crack the door open with the poor defense, and the Dodgers kick it down.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill, where you can join us tomorrow morning for our live show and breakfast previewing the UCLA game. Make sure you get to eventbrite.com. Reserve your table now by searching Hurrdat Sports Radio. And you can win 4 tickets and a parking pass to the UCLA game, courtesy of our friends from Tickets for Less. Make sure you RSVP today.
Rub-a-dub-dub. Let's have grub.
Let's have a live breakfast, live show. It's been a little over a month.
I can't wait.
Haven't seen our friends for a minute. You just try to get some more bacon and breakfast sandwiches.
100%.
That's right.
You're
not going to eat it until midnight, probably?
The food is fantastic.
It is good food.
Yeah.
Even when you don't eat it for 12 hours or 18 hours or however long it takes you.
All right.
Because you probably won't eat until after the game tomorrow night, right?
Yeah.
It's a long time.
That's fine.
For somebody.
That's fine. So more gamification, right?
Okay, so you're being competitive with yourself on how long you can not eat?
So I'm focused on like pregame because there's such familiarity with the staff. I wonder how Coach Samanji's going to be. So that's what I'm going to dial in on, because that's his guy.
Yeah.
And their DC was my guy for a long time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That'll be interesting. Have you guys have never played Westview, right?
No.
Yeah.
They got sweet uniforms though.
Do they? I haven't seen them.
Yeah, they're nice.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
There you go.
But I can't say that out loud because I said something about Fremont a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, don't say anything nice about other schools, DB.
Man, one of my coaches told me to STFU. Literally.
Unless it's Miller North.
I was like, what? I like the color scheme.
I like a good uniform.
Man, this dude jumped on me like I said something bad about his sister or something.
Yeah. You can't like other schools, DB.
It's not about I like the
like the unis.
I like the unis, man.
I like it's Miller North and West Side. That's the only teams we're allowed to like on this program. Only schools we're allowed to like.
I like everybody. Almost.
It's not entirely true. You like a lot of people.
I do, yeah, for the most part.
You like people that you think are for kids, you're gonna ride with.
Even if they say crazy stuff.
I like turtles.
Not turtle, Shane. Let's get to our guy Darren here calling in on the Hurrdat hotline. Darren, what's going on, man?
Not too much. Good morning, Raleigh, DB.
Dan, what's up, buddy?
Not too much, man. Ready for the game this weekend. I had checked out a couple weeks ago. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
Well, one of the most diehard of diehards checked out, huh?
I mean, not totally. I had calmed down.
I need everybody
I'm gonna say that.
to
I had
calm down. Calm down. So it might hopefully it's just a blip on the radar. We hope.
Yeah, we're back. We're gonna be all good come Saturday, and
we better
into the rest of the season. Yeah, we're good Saturday and head into the rest of the season.
Yeah, you got to be enjoying this start to volleyball, don't you?
Man, DB, last night it was great. It was great. And the last 2 points, my freshman daughter came in and she served like she was supposed to, and closed it out.
Look at you.
It was awesome.
You know what the best thing about this call is? I've known you for so long. I can see your smile. Like I can see it through the phone as a proud papa, man. That's pretty cool. And for the record, that was the only time I can remember that we allowed a game to be streamed during dinner time at our table last night, because someone in our house is a huge volleyball fan. So we were allowed to watch that thing being streamed while we were eating. I don't even get to watch my games at the dinner table. So you got to see
those last 2 points.
Yeah, I'm on it, man. The proud papa. I appreciate it. It's pretty cool. What's Musclehead doing? Is he going to be another good one or what? Well, how long before we get him?
He's at the middle school now, playing point guard. Yeah. He got to grow a little bit, but that's all in time.
He is. So, hey, Micah says the same thing about himself. So you got time.
Yeah, you got time. Not worry. We just gonna stay in the gym. That's the most important thing, to be patient and keep working. Just trust the work. Just trust the work.
D2, you're the man. I appreciate the call.
Yep.
Yeah. He's his little guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. His son, his daughter's obviously at the high school, but his son is razor thin.
Really?
Yeah. He's built just like his dad. I mean, it makes Sauter look yoked. But his son's been like first, second grade, and I would like grab his biceps because he's ripped.
Yeah.
Like, dang, man, you been in the weight room? And he would just cheese and smile. So I nicknamed him Musclehead, even though he's thin,
super skinny.
Yeah,
that's.
I need to go over to the middle school.
Yeah.
See my guy, Coach Williams. So my buddy, So I got two things for you. So number one.
What do we got?
So St. Louis Jordan, who, by the way, I know you love.
Our guy, St. Louis Jordan?
I know you love talking to his brother. He said, as a former pitcher, I'm putting 0.5% on the blame on the Mookie play on Rizzo. He says every play hit to that side, the pitcher should be headed to the bag, which is true.
He's right.
I mean, that part is But I think you know that part.
Yeah.
You're just wondering if he could have got there.
Yeah, I'm not saying he shouldn't have tried.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I was just asking in real time if he would have beat him anyway.
See, my other but
that's a process versus results thing.
It's a total squirrel moment, but I have another admin at another school that likes Fremont's uniforms too.
No, they're pretty cool.
He's like, yeah, those new Fremont uniforms are fire. They are. He shouldn't be cheering for him either.
Hey, knock it off. Quit cheering for other people.
By the way, his youngster.
Go ball player.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll tell you who in a second.
You have to tell me who it is.
I've been talking about him.
But the
over there for 39th and Ames.
I think I've got a little bit of I have more sympathy for the first baseman in that situation, kind of like St. Louis Jordan was saying with 0.5% because of the Buckner thing.
So my guy, he's I tried to text him back. Hey, he gives me the driving notification. That is his temperament. I'm driving with focus turned on. I'll see your message when I'm not driving. That's cute.
It's adorable.
But he was wondering about Cole too. Like, didn't that seem awkward? I'm serious. Like real time.
Yeah.
As I'm walking around my 48-degree bedroom, I'm like, what? Is somebody not going to talk to this man?
Yeah, and like I said, I'll be honest, in real time, I didn't really think about it that much because there were 2 outs. Like by the time that they started bleeding runs.
What'd they get up to? 19 minutes of real time?
I think so. I think that's right.
Bro, that's an eternity.
I know. But like I think it's really true. I'm not saying they shouldn't have talked to him.
Yeah.
But in real time, when you've got 2 outs and you're only bleeding 1 run at a time, none of the balls were terribly well hit until the Teoscar one, which I still think was catchable, but if he was lined up correctly, which we couldn't see. But when you're bleeding 1 run at a time, when they're not making good contact, like I kind of understand where it's like, we're right there. You just have to make the one play. Now, at some point, you do have to stop things and be like, hey, let's just breathe, guys. But I kind of understand how that can get away from you. I'm not saying it should, but I kind of understand how it does. You've got 2 outs. They're just kind of dinking and dunking the ball all over the place. You're making errors. They're not hitting the ball well. I can see how that gets away from you because you don't necessarily think he needs it.
Right.
Like if somebody gives up 2 doubles and they're just screamers, right? And then somebody hits a 2-run home run, you're like, oh, this guy, need to talk to this guy. Something's not working, right? What for Cole wasn't working. Like he was getting weak swings, weak contact, everything. Just nobody could make a play.
Was the catcher's interference during any of that? I mean, because there was a little bit of break there.
No, that was later.
That was later. Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't in that same inning.
Yeah.
So I mean, I understand how it can get on top of you before you realize like, oh, it's 5-4. Maybe I need to go talk to this guy. And by that point, you're like, well, what do I say now?
Like, at what point were you going to get somebody up in the bullpen to throw?
Now that's a better question, because I would have had that. Like by 5-2, you've got to have somebody up in the bullpen throwing.
Yeah,
I would think. But they kept him in for what, 2 innings after that?
They knew they were thin.
I know. So you're just kind of riding them out.
Yeah.
I get it, but you got to get somebody up, don't you?
So you get 2 in the 8th.
You would think so. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla. We will be back with more Hurrdat Sports Radio. We're live here on AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, as well as Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Make sure you check us out. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. be back. We will be back.
Launches.
There's so much love.
You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Launches this ball left center field. Judge on the run is still going. He's at the wall and he's got it. Aaron Judge putting his stamp on Game 5. Freddie's son Charlie says, "You just robbed my dad." I hope that wall's okay. Right?
Wrapping up hour number 1 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla, reminding you, if you're on your way to work, make sure your seat belt is buckled. It prevents injuries and saves lives, but only if worn properly. Make it click. This message from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. You know, DB, I was wondering if we could make something click for some of our dear friends, like one Michael Severe, maybe.
Uh-oh.
I want to get into the coaching thing a little bit.
Shay said, "Oh, no."
What'd I do?
Well, hey, something clearly didn't sit well with you after he hung up the phone.
Well, I mean, I like Michael. We've worked together. We've hung out. Like,
By the way, that's a heck. Shane, are you going to let this costume ride that he's wearing?
Take the glasses off, too.
Gotta get you a phone booth. It's very creative.
It's like the easiest Halloween costume ever, because you just wear a suit and you put a Superman t-shirt on under it, and you're like, it's my Halloween costume.
More like Clark Bent.
Wow.
Anyway, go ahead. Carry on, my wayward son.
So, you know, yesterday, as he kind of was walking off, Severe made the point. He's like, hey, in this day and age, like, I want my guys to win early. There's no excuse not to win in year one. And we both kind of looked at each other, because I just didn't think that was true.
I didn't think he would have. I didn't think he would have been so matter of fact. But I mean,
so
whatever.
I didn't want to lean on my own memory and my own perception of
lean on your own understanding.
Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to do
it's biblical, you know.
A little. No, it says lean not on your own understanding. I went to school to be a preacher, man. Like, come on. I may have been excommunicated, but
yeah, you're in a go situation.
So I went and I did a deep dive on every coach.
Like Don Meredith and ST Plunge deep dive? You don't even never mind. That was way before.
I was saying none of those words meant anything to me.
Yeah. Shane, do you remember the Nestea Plunge commercials?
Oh yeah.
With Don Meredith?
I don't necessarily remember the Don Meredith ones, but I mean they were pretty popular.
Yeah.
There was a series of them.
Yeah. But anyway.
I got nothing.
Carry on again, my wayward son.
So I found every Power 4, Power 5.
This is pretty ridiculous.
Coaching hire. You got the document, right?
Yeah.
I did every Power 4 or Power 5 coaching hire from 2016 because I needed at least 3 years, right? So I went from 2016 and I went all the way through the 2021 hiring
which
class.
is a decent time because it was a little lax to move to and from schools, and
you
didn't have the portal yet, so you needed
a little more time.
A little more time.
But then we got some guys post portal era as well, and guess what? There's not that much difference.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
There's really not, because first of all, almost all of the guys that had instant success were going to a program that had been good. So let's just start with Nebraska, for instance, because, and this is not going to make Nebraska fans happy, and I don't know what to tell you, but the closest hiring situation that Matt Rule walked into was Lance Leipold walking into Kansas in terms of the success the program had had. Not talking about infrastructure and other things, but in terms of actual wins and losses on the field, there is only a handful of jobs that had had as little of success as Nebraska had when Coach Rule took over. So there's not a ton of direct comparables. But what I did, and these are the ones I bolded on the sheet, any team that had missed either consecutive bowl games or had missed the majority of seasons bowl games under their previous coach, I highlighted because I was like, that's the closest I can get, because you don't have a lot of missed 8 straight bowl games. You don't.
Yeah.
It's not on there, right?
Yeah.
So Justin Wilcox from Cal is a good one. They had missed 4 out of 5 bowl games prior to Justin Cox getting hired back in 2016. 5 wins year 1, 7 wins year 2, 8 wins year 3, where he topped out, has been to 1 bowl game since then. Hard, right? Let's do Tom Allen, because we've been talking a lot about Curt Cignetti in Indiana, which actually had been a more successful program in terms of wins than Nebraska had when Coach Rule took over.
Not sure we realized that. That's kind of one of those little dirty little secrets.
Yeah, that's why I brought it up, because Tom Allen was actually in a much closer position to what Rule was before he took over than Curt Cignetti was. Tom Allen at Indiana, they had missed a bowl game 7 of the 9 years before he took the job, but they did make 2 straight bowl games right before he took the job. So I think that matters too, because they were headed in the right trajectory. 5 wins his first 2 years, 5 wins each his first 2 years, 8 wins his third year. They had the really good COVID year at 6-2 with Penix, and then it kind of falls off the map and he gets fired, right? So again, took 3 years to make a bowl game even. Let's get to and then honestly, there's not that many of them, because most of these guys, most of these programs most of these guys have taken over programs that were a lot better position than Nebraska was. Jonathan Smith at Oregon State, though. Program had missed 4 straight bowl games prior to him being hired. 2 wins in year 1, 5 wins in year 2, 2 wins in COVID year 3, then finally makes a bowl game with 7 wins in year 4, then 10, then 8. Then he takes the Michigan State job. But took him 4 years, call it 3 if you don't want to count COVID, to get that thing back on track as well.
Can I go back to 2016 for a second?
Absolutely.
How close did you think PJ Fleck was?
PJ
as a comp,
not close.
Yeah, because
Jerry Kill's been really good.
Yep.
That program was in good shape. They had made 5 straight bowl games, or 6 of the last 7, or something like that.
I hear the Minnesota thing a lot.
Yeah, it's just not true.
Yeah.
It was true when Frost got hired. Minnesota was a good comp. Minnesota, when PJ Fleck got hired, was a good comp for when Frost got hired. It was no longer true when Rule got hired. Like, we forget that 5 years is a long time.
No, that's a pretty
college football.
I can respect this quite a bit.
Like, then you go to Mike Loxley from Maryland. They'd missed a bowl in 3 of their previous 4 years. He goes 3 wins, 2 and 3 in COVID, gets to 7 wins in year 3, 8 wins in year 4, and now they're 8 wins in 4 and 5. Now they're 4 and 4. Mac Brown's an interesting one, because that was a team, and maybe the closest parallel because of what I think of the program.
So I'm glad you said that. Because that's what I think.
The closest parallel?
Yeah.
Because
I ask you about that job all the time.
I think it's a good job.
And I just said last week, I'm like, that job's going to be open.
Yep.
Right? Whether he resigns.
They're going to find a graceful way to let him go.
Yeah, like he's just going to retire.
It's not going to be – I don't think it's going to be acrimonious.
Yeah.
I think they have a ton of mutual respect for each other. But Mac Brown is not the coach of North Carolina next year. But Mac Brown, they'd missed 2 straight bowl games prior to him being hired, which they'd been pretty good before that, or they'd been okay before that. Fedora had a couple 10-win seasons, and they're a 9 or 10, something like that.
Remember how we used to fawn over him?
Yeah, after coming out for Southern Miss, that shine came off real fast. A couple, like a 3 and a 4 year at Carolina. But it took him – he won pretty much right away, but he's never won super big there. 7 wins, 8 wins, 6 wins, 9 wins, 8 wins, currently 4-4. So he's been pretty consistent, but never incredible.
Did you read from –
Despite some expectations.
Our guy, I'm going to let you carry on.
No, go ahead.
From CFB Matrix. He said, we track something called progression, which measures year-over-year health of every program under every head coach since 2010. Gives a picture of how quick, A, a coach can flip a program, and 2, how quickly a coach continues to improve a program. Coach Rule has the highest progression rate at plus 11% year over year. That's pretty good.
That's really good.
Yeah, he's ours.
Yeah. Matt Wells, Texas Tech.
Ooh, sneaky.
They had missed
Sneaky.
three of their last 5 bowl games.
Good pull.
They missed 3 of their last 5 bowl games before he was hired. Only won 4 wins each. His first 2 years, was fired at 5-3 in year 3.
So generally, I would actually put this out on social media because it takes a little bit to absorb. But what I was impressed with is you start with a a hypothesis, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
Because what I said when he hung up the phone after I got done laughing, because, he's hilarious. I go, it doesn't feel like, and I said this off air, at least anecdotally, the quick turnarounds of poor programs has been sustainable.
Yeah.
Right. That's what I said, at first
Real
blush.
time. Yeah. And that's true. Like I poured through literally every guy I could find, every guy that got a Power 5 job, Power 4 job, whatever you want to call it. The guys that have quick turnarounds either backslide or leave. So we have no idea if it would have worked long term. Like Kalen DeBoer is a great example, right? First of all, that program was actually in really good shape before Jimmy Lake took over. He had a COVID year and then got fired after about 4 games. But Chris Peterson had that program in a pretty good spot.
Yeah, and people felt like they were recruiting
at a pretty good level,
yeah.
Right? And then Kalen DeBoer takes over, has 2 incredible years, and then is gone, right? So we have no idea what sustainability looks like for Kalen DeBoer.
He gets the bump, too, because he got the Penix.
Yeah.
He got Penix.
He got the Penix because he had the connection from being back at Indiana. And so and we can keep getting into that because there's a couple other programs that I think have closer parallels to Nebraska. And again,
why am I not shocked that Matrix, they track this?
Yeah, I should have just asked them instead of spending however much time I spent on this last night.
I mean, surprise.
Anytime I have a question, I got to ask Adam before I do all this work. But there are a couple other programs that I think have pretty close parallels to Nebraska, and we'll get into those in the 8 o'clock hour. That's DBM Ravi, Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
I think ultimately disappointment. You know, you put so much into it. You play well for the most part. You know, there's plays here and there that you'd like to get back as a coach and as a player. So there's disappointment because we know that we should have won that football game, and now it's like, all right, let's go back to work and get better from we were a week ago. You know, that's the challenge every week.
Kicking off hour number 2 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at the Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. DB, you going to get your have you gotten your shot yet this week?
I got to be there at 10:30.
Go over to Game Day Men's Health?
Yeah, I talked to him. They're hilarious. I called yesterday. I was like, hey.
You just forgot to go early in the week?
Yeah, well, it's always something to do.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We had NEB.
You stay busy.
We had NEB preps and it got away from me. And then I've got to be in Neb City. So I was just thinking, hey, how you feeling? Like, I'm good. Right. Except for I'm waiting for the sleep to kick in.
Yeah.
Now that's going to be, if they can pull that off.
I was going to say that might be a separate issue.
I mean, you're going on like 35 40 years of data, right? Like, I don't know what I was like. I don't think any teenagers sleep, but well, that's not true.
Yeah,
they actually do.
They just sleep weird hours.
You
feeling good though?
Yeah, I'm cool. Like, I feel good.
You know, a cool thing I figured out they can do. They can just ship you the stuff. So I'm doing my shots at home now.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Yeah. I felt slighted.
I asked about it.
So he walked me through it because he said it takes a week to get set up.
Yeah,
because I don't mind. I can like stick myself.
Yeah.
The only downside is Sky is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I want to go see my man Chris too because he keeps it.
Which we'll have to go back in to get new blood work anyway. You know.
Yeah. So that's not for 6 weeks, right?
Yeah, but we're three. We're halfway through. Yeah, or halfway through the first kind of like deal here.
Yeah.
But I'm starting to feel pretty good.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm still working on the sleep. I'm a bad sleeper too, not as bad as you because you
took the long way.
I don't know how that
Shane,
works.
who sings that song?
Supertramp again.
I don't think you can say that on the air.
Dude, I'm on the Supertramp.
Breakfast in America, great CD.
Long way.
Long way.
So anyway, he's like, hey, we can ship too,
yeah.
But it takes a week to get set up for delivery. And I was like, oh, I'll be in. But it is gonna be tweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just texted the girls. I asked Ave and Sash. We'll start right at 10 for the preview.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to rush Ave either, because it usually takes about what?
Takes a few minutes to get set up here.
15, 17 minutes
for the whole thing.
Yeah. And I don't want to rush her.
For sure. Well, if you're feeling a little sluggish, you need better sleep, something, make sure you get out to GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get your consultation set up. Great crew over there.
Do you think they'll let me take the balls off display? I want to throw that football.
You mean like the sports balls?
Yeah, do you think it's
you could get confused here given what we're talking about, what kind of things were on display.
I simply was going to ask, do you think the balls are in the basketball and the football have air in there?
It's a lot of flock going on.
I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
Because I bet most people go over there for the snacks. Because they have the little setup. It's on the fridge. They did
hook me up with snacks, which I appreciate.
Would you eat the meat sticks?
No, I had some.
Because that wouldn't surprise me.
I had some fruit snacks.
Being a protein guy.
Yeah, it's all about the gains. No, I had some fruit snacks. I did. They're good fruit snacks too.
Were they?
Yeah. Well, because sometimes people. I was doing okay. Mine was a blood sugar thing, but sometimes people don't do great when they're getting their blood taken. So I got little snacks for you, so you feel better.
Yeah, I brought you some pistachios and some.
Oh, those for me?
Yes.
I like pistachios.
Yes.
Big pistachio guy.
Yeah, we get those on the flight, so I collect them. What?
It's just funny. I like pistachios, though. I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so a lot we're talking about college football programs. We need a little.
It was huge.
We need a little shot in the arm.
So I'm still going. Like you kind of cut yourself off. Do you want to reset it?
Yeah. So Michael Severe yesterday came on here talking nonsense. No. He made the assertion that guys should win faster in the current era of college football. And so you didn't really think that was true. I didn't really think that was true, but I wanted data. So I went.
But I do understand.
I understand the perception.
I didn't love it because what happened after Indiana was it was used as an indictment against Nebraska. And I'm like, look, I just want to tell you guys something. I'm going to say this and I'm going to move on. I think what's happening in Indiana with an experienced staff when you bring in winners is a quicker process when you don't have the expectations.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think there's something to that. And I think I can say that without making excuses because Coach Rule on the sneak, like he typically does, slid it in where he said, hey, many have tried before me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to try it a different way.
Yep.
And he just kept on moving.
Yeah.
Right. I know what he's saying because we've heard hey, we got to get rid of the termites and the ground up, and it takes time, and it's a slow burn. Although the first guy that tried it, Coach Callahan, felt like it was in a little bit better shape than we gave it credit for.
Mm-hmm.
He said he just had to go out and find some fellas, right, which he did.
Yep.
But, I mean, there's the whole relationship. I'm not even revisiting that.
Yeah.
But, so folks have tried it a different way. And I mean, if I'm being honest, I would love to see something that is sustainable. So I'm willing to be patient in the meantime, which is why I always say, even with Frost, even with Riley, while you're waiting to get good players, what are you doing in the meantime?
Get the culture right.
To give yourself a chance to win.
Because it doesn't matter how many good players you get. If you don't have everything else figured out by the time you get good players in terms of culture, how you want to program, all those other things, guess what?
Do you know why else I think he used Ohio State as the stand his ground?
Why is that?
With philosophy, because he knows it will come to light this week. I mean, because you've left yourself no real wiggle room with a litmus test, which he's
done before.
I always joke, yeah.
He'll back himself into a corner.
He's basically saying, okay,
judge me today. Judge me on this week.
I'm going to put this to the test.
Yeah,
he's saying that out loud.
He did that last year with
and if his team cares.
Yeah.
No, I won't say if they care because I think they care. But they got to you got to get your coaches back.
Yeah, you got to find a way to have his back.
He stood on business last week. You got to find a way to get his back this week.
So I went through every Power 5 coaching hire from 2016 to 2021. I didn't go any further than that because I needed more data to kind of illustrate and look at the point that I was investigating. There were 63 Power Conference hires in that time frame. Only 19 of them were coming off of multiple missed bowls.
Yeah.
19 of 63. That's less than a third. We pointed to a couple programs that we thought were comparable. One we both agreed on was North Carolina in terms of where Nebraska's at. North Carolina might be the closest in terms of what type of program we think they can be, but they obviously had more success recently than Nebraska had. Sam Pittman at Arkansas, I think, is an interesting one too. I think Arkansas has a tougher job than Nebraska is, but he came off of 3 straight missed bowls, had a rough year 1, made bowl game in year 2 with 9 wins, but has regressed since then. An interesting one is Florida State when they hired Norvell.
So could I say something? Because I studied this for a while.
Yeah.
The fundamental difference is, even though I'm going to let you get into what I'm going to guess you're going to talk about the parallels, the similarities. Mm-hmm. Okay. The one be careful moment for me is how readily available the talent is.
100%.
Okay,
and that's a caveat I was going to make.
Okay, so outside of that,
yeah,
do your thing.
Because Florida State was a program that was coming off a few years of struggling. Obviously, the Willie Taggart era was bad. The end of Jimbo Fisher was bad. Still not the extent of struggling that Nebraska's been through. But Mike Norvell.
And he was a slower burn, too.
Mike Norvell took some time.
Yeah.
3 wins in year 1, 5 wins in year 2. Then he jumps to the 10 and 13. But guess what? They're 1-7 this year.
Yeah.
Right? So that's a really tough one. I think in terms of.
But do you know. I hate to keep doing this. I apologize.
No, go ahead. This is the point, to have the conversation.
So there's 2 things.
Yeah.
You got to get the quarterback right.
Yeah, which they did not.
And while you're slow burning, the core of your groceries still have to be
high school recruits.
Yep.
And that's the thing
because high school recruits are your protein.
Mm-hmm. They're the staple. They have to be the staple.
They're like, I guess if you're a starch guy, like that's the meat and potatoes part.
Mm-hmm.
The portal is the veggies and the dessert and the salad.
They're the garnishes. They're making it pretty.
Unless you can do what in the portal? And that's get the quarterback right.
Yeah.
But what we're seeing, and I was hoping you would maybe get into Michigan, but that's a little bit different animal. See, they rolled the dice on transfer quarterbacks year over year over year. Now they're forced to do what? Produce their own.
And it's a mess.
In-house.
Yeah.
And it is a debacle.
And the one time they actually.
That's why I didn't love the Washington reference. I get the data points.
Yes.
But see, they got the quarterback right.
I also, because he didn't stay.
And Nebraska's trying to get it right with an
incoming quarterback.
They tried it the other way.
Yeah, and the issue with Washington is DeBoer didn't stay, so we don't have any data points.
I'm with you. I did like that point.
Eli Drinkwitz is an interesting one at Missouri too.
Yeah, they may be in trouble though.
They were they had missed 3 out of 5 bowl games. 5 wins, 6 wins, then 5 wins, 6 wins, 6 wins. So 3 years of mediocre results before jumping to 11 wins, and now they're 6-2. Schiano is another one. They'd missed 5 straight bowl games, and that's been a real slow burn for him. They got to 7 wins last year, but there's no guarantees for them this year either. One that I thought was actually really interesting and maybe a really close parallel. Do you have a guess?
I'm remembering the layout on the sheet. So it has to be post 2020.
It's a 2020 hire.
If I give this.
I'll give you a hint too.
Go ahead.
He got hired somewhere else this past coaching cycle.
And who am I missing?
I think this one's a weirdly good parallel for Nebraska.
This is going to piss me off.
You're going to know it as soon as I say it. Although you might not agree that it's a good parallel.
Give it to me.
Jed Fish.
I thought, whoa.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, under Kevin Sumlin, they'd missed 3 straight bowl games. He was a slow burn guy. 1 win year 1, 5 wins year 2.
Finally got the quarterback right.
Then gets to 10-3, but then he leaves and takes the Washington job, so we don't even know if he would have sustained that. That's where it makes some of these really hard, is you have guys that leave for better jobs. But I think the program, I
don't know what Arizona should be.
I don't either. But it's a major program in a –
Is it?
I mean, major in terms of big conference.
Okay.
It's like it's a major public university.
You know, the one thing that's interesting in these is like the temperament of the fan base. Like how close how close are the expectation levels and the perception from the fan base? Because a lot of times
I do have
that's what gives you time or doesn't give you time.
100%. I do have one that I think there's a fan base with similar expectations. Also in that 2020 class, Josh Heupel at Tennessee.
Yeah, you don't even know I'm going to be asking you. You don't have any idea I'm giving you this feedback.
No, we had no conversations about this. I just sent you the list. We knew we were going to talk about this in general.
I thought you may give me A&M.
So A&M's a good one, but
that's who I thought. Like if I was like, because I'm thinking about this.
Yeah.
I'm like, well,
here's why
we have to get into the variance between fan expectation level
and actual success.
So
here's the problem with A&M.
That's what I would chart that as patience.
Yes.
Patience to grow.
Here's the problem with A&M is they've been too much more successful than Nebraska.
They've been too good, yeah.
That I didn't feel like I could use them as a parallel.
I understand.
You know, I mean, even under Jimbo.
Tennessee's actually, I mean, I'm going to say this out loud. Tennessee's actually a better one. You're right.
Like even under Jimbo, where they end up firing him, he was 9-1 with in the COVID year, right? Like they were preseason top 6 or something after that. So like they've been too good, I thought, to use them as a direct parallel. But Tennessee, before they had hired Heupel, missed 3 of the last 4 bowl games. They'd had a really rough stretch in like the Derek Mason, Jeremy Pruitt era, right before they hired Josh Heupel. 7 wins in year 1, 11 wins in year 2, 9 wins last year, and now 6-1. So if you want a guy that won pretty quick and then has so far sustained it, Josh Heupel is your best example.
Yeah.
And even him, only 7 wins in his first year, and he had the quarterback right immediately with Hendon Hooker. Like that's the thing that he got that is a major difference between Nebraska and Tennessee is he had a ready-to-go, basically Heisman caliber quarterback immediately, where Nebraska's doing it with a freshman. Because you're right, a lot of these other guys, I mentioned Kansas as being a close parallel. You know what's also a really close parallel, sadly, is Clark Lee at Vanderbilt when he got hired in terms of success.
Who they almost ran out of there.
Yeah, but he has built up.
Made the monumental staff changes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
he gutted that thing.
He did. He gutted that staff going into this year.
And if they can get another win, they'll get bowl eligible in year 4. Mike Elko's won, but again, he was only there for 2 years and then he bounced. So we have no idea what to do with that one. Here's one that I think people point to a lot as an instant success guy, but then they forget what happens after is Sonny Dykes at TCU, right?
Yeah, he got hired because of it.
Comes in immediately. They had missed 3 straight bowl games at the end of the Gary Patterson era. And then he goes and wins 13 games, makes a national championship game first year. But guess what? They missed a bowl last year. Mm-hmm. And they're currently 5-3. Yeah. No guarantees they're going to be any good this year either.
Yeah.
Right? So when you're looking at this instant success, what do I always say when people get mad at the coaches or whatever? What's the step after being mad? Yeah. What's the step after the 1-year success? Ironically, one of the guys that maybe is having the most success early that came from a tough spot is a rural guy, Joey McGuire at Texas Tech. They had missed 4 out of 5 bowl games before he got hired. He goes 8 wins year 1, 7 wins year 2, and they're currently 5-3. Ironically enough.
You know how bad I missed them last year? I'm still mad.
Texas Tech?
Yeah, I'm like, that's my dark horse.
Yeah. And they were probably closer to 10 wins than they were to 7.
Yeah.
They just barely missed on a couple of those, but like there's not a lot of, first of all, there's just not a lot of parallels to Nebraska in terms of the expectations of the fan base.
No, I get it, Mike. Sorry.
No, go for it.
This YouTube comments are like, it's buzzing. But Mike was like, he said, yeah, except for Rule and Company swung and missed on a quarterback in year one. That's on him. No bleep. Like, it's not I'm not. So, yes, but part of the reason it's you have to get the quarterback position right. There's no question.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say Mike, let's say he hit on a quarterback.
Yeah.
And you get off to the good start year one. You get Sims for another year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You still at some point have to get the long-term quarterback right. Because what we've seen,
otherwise you're just swinging at transfers every year.
That's
a really tough way to live.
Ask Florida State.
It's a really, because they hit on Jordan Travis.
Yeah,
love that transfer.
Ask Michigan.
DJU don't like that so much.
Do you know what I mean? So it's like, I get it. He's 100% right. That is on Rule. So outside of whatever happens with how we feel about the staff, that's going to be the number one thing when people critique the build. They're still in utter disbelief that Sims was the hand-picked guy. So that's what they'll always. So I get it.
I do too. But
I know exactly what Mike is saying.
Here's the question I'd like to ask about that, though.
Well, he's here. You can ask him.
I'll ask you and I'll ask him.
Okay.
What was the alternative in that situation?
I listen, man.
Because there wasn't a quarterback in the room that any of us wanted anything to do with.
Understand.
Right?
I even heard, and I can't believe it. I heard 3 weeks ago, last week. You folks know who you are. Oh man, Kyle McCord was out there. Look at what's. I'm like, hey, listen.
I like Kyle McCord. I think he's a good quarterback. But you're not trading Kyle McCord for Dylan Raiola.
Not in the long haul.
No,
I'm not.
No, like ideally in the perfect.
And it's not just because he's coming on the heels of throwing it to Pitt 3 times for touchdowns. It's just.
And 5 picks in that game.
They had that opportunity. They did. And so maybe that's the one where you're like up in arms. But I'm telling you, that weekend, that whole Saturday, Sunday, Monday was not like people think.
No.
It just wasn't. Number one, Coach Rule wasn't available. Nor were a couple of other guys on that staff. And the Dylan, I can say this, the Raiola news broke quickly. Quickly. Like even I didn't. I was probably the first to know because Dom texts me.
Yeah.
And I'm at the banquet.
It went from this rumor of like, he may not be happy at Georgia to he's coming to Nebraska and broke publicly incredibly quick.
And it overlapped with McCord being in Lincoln. So I understand
why
McCord didn't feel the love because.
Yeah, this weird thing happened.
Yeah.
Can you correct me if I'm wrong, though? They would have taken both?
I can't 100% say that.
Okay. Because I mean, listen, I talk to people sometimes.
I would be speculating.
I'll just tell the rumors that I heard, and I have no idea their validity, but like I hear things from people sometimes, and like a decent amount of time it's true.
And Coach Rule is pretty sick.
I was told that if McCord had wanted to come still, they would have taken him.
Yeah, I don't
know that for sure. I don't. That's just, again, it's a rumor that I heard that I would believe because I don't think, for the most part, you don't want to have to start a freshman quarterback.
No, I know.
Right?
I know.
So whether it was McCord or somebody else, I think they would have been open to having a short-term transfer guy to kind of bridge the gap there a little bit.
Hey, Shane, can you put thank you. I can't read Mike's response. Got to make it bigger, Shane.
Now, if you're wanting,
okay, hang on. I'm all for the slow burn.
Yeah.
There were other guys out there in the portal. Sims didn't hit, and dominoes had to fall into play. But you can't apologize for that, though.
Also, the players have to want to come to Nebraska too.
Yeah, like you can't.
And I get that. The thing that we get hung up on with Sims is they're like, oh, he's a Sunday talent. You know who else said he was a Sunday talent? His new coach, Kenny Dillingham.
Oh, I know.
This isn't an exclusively Nebraska thing, right? Everybody looks at Jeff Sims and sees Sunday talent. Every coach looks at Jeff Sims and sees Sunday talent. So it's not just a Nebraska thing. And every coach thinks they can fix him because they see Sunday talent.
Everybody.
Yeah.
But I don't know this.
So I want to speak to Mike's point.
Yeah, go ahead.
For whatever the reason, I'm kind of vibing with him, even though it's just weird. Because I don't agree.
Yeah.
but I think he's right.
Okay.
In some instances.
Sure.
This is one of those weird DB dynamics.
Absolutely.
So he's told no lies.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And this second part, it's hey, and he didn't hit, and the dominoes had to fall in place to get Dylan. Understand?
Sure.
Right. We know why there was interest from Dylan and Nebraska.
Yeah.
Family dynamics, the whole deal. Okay, we're going to get to Asian White and Jack here too because I want to get him in this segment. But you can't, number one, you can't apologize for that. And number two, imagine this, Mike. You get the high school piece right with your quarterback development. And while you may not always get a high 4, 5-star caliber quarterback, the pieces will come around that so you can build around something sustainable in case you don't get the home run higher deal quarterback. You can get a guy that can come into and develop at his pace because the other pieces are sustainable. You're not just getting rental guys because they want to come play with a high caliber quarterback. So that adds to the longevity potential in terms of putting it together.
Wyatt and Jack, stay on the line here. We'll try and get you at the top of the next segment. That's DB. I'm Ravi, Lulla, more Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We're back here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. We're going to get to our friend Asian Wyatt here. Wants to talk a little Marcus Satterfield, maybe a little bit of weather as well. What's going on, Wyatt?
Hey, happy Halloween, guys.
Hey, good morning, buddy. We forgot to even get into Halloween. That's okay. Robbie's dressed for success.
Yeah, it's a good day. It's a good day.
What are the girls?
But right now they are at preschool daycare. They're a Bumblebee and Belle.
Okay. Okay.
There was no stream, Shano. Thank you. There was no built-in solution ready for Nebraska.
And I'm telling you guys, Casey Thompson was not an option.
That was not a thing that was going to happen.
We got to move on from that. Like they explored that.
And even if he was, trust me. You know what Casey Thompson was? A transfer.
No, I get it.
Okay, so let's not act like he was the guy that Nebraska recruited. But no, Casey Thompson wasn't an option. They went down that road. It didn't work out. Was not an option. Okay, so they were left with Harburg. Was Smother still in the room at that point?
Yeah, I think so.
In the spring?
Initially, yeah.
And that was it, I think?
I'm blurry now, babe.
I think that was – I'm going to have to leave the stream and come back in, but I'll do that during the break. I think that was it. I think that was it that was in the room, right? So you're going to have to bring in a transfer because at that point in the process, you're not getting the type of high school quarterback that can come in and start, right? In November, these are 2 or 3 year recruitments now for high school quarterbacks, right? This is not the same world in which.
And you got to get at least 1 or 2 right.
Yes. And this is not the same world in which Scott Frost calls Adrian Martinez the day he gets the job and brings him in. This is 5 years later. The quarterback recruiting world has gotten weird since then. Okay.
It's a tough position.
So that was not a viable option. What I would like to look at is, and yes, we may have liked other quarterbacks on the transfer market more than we liked Jeff Sims, but they have to like you back. Like, you can't just ask out the prettiest girl in school if she doesn't want to go out with you.
Believe me, I know.
So does Michael.
By the way, that's an all-time classic. That dude is the goat.
You know what I mean? Like, they have to want to go to homecoming with you too. Yeah. You can't just be like, oh, hey, I'm going to home. No, you're not. She don't want to go with you. Yeah. She's going to go with the quarterback, right? So that's a two-way street. And guess what? By year 2, they had a plan. They had an Elite 11 quarterback in Danny Kalen committed, and they were ready to bring in a transfer to give him time in Kyle McCord. I truly believe if Dylan Raiola is not interested, Kyle McCord's Nebraska's starting quarterback this year.
Yeah,
I fully believe that.
I'm inclined to agree.
And Danny Kalen would be learning under Kyle McCord.
Yeah,
and then you'd still have Heinrich Harburg developing as a possible option, right? Which is not a bad situation to be in. Kyle McCord's a legitimate Power 5 starting quarterback, right? Like, he is. I get he had the tough day against Pitt, but he's a legit Power 5 starting quarterback, and he would give Danny Kalen, an Elite 11 talent, time to develop. And then they've got TJ Lateef coming in after that, and you just have to get one of those right.
One of them right.
You don't have to get all of them right. You have to get one of them right. That's the problem. We mentioned Mike Norvell in Florida State. That's the problem they ran into, is they have gotten 0 of their high school quarterback recruits right.
Some highly touted.
Yeah. There's one right now that they're hoping's okay, but like, don't act like Brock Glenn wasn't a guy that had offers.
Mm-hmm.
And guess what? That guy can't play dead. He can't. You're out here. You're hoping Luke Kromenhoek can be a true freshman starter now that you're 1-7. You got nothing to lose, but you have to get one of them right. And Mike Norvell's been there for, I think this is year 6 now.
Yeah.
And he hasn't gotten a high school recruit right yet. And yet we look at him and be like, oh man, look what a great job he's done at Florida State. And he has. But it's still hard to get that part right. He's a QB whisperer guru guy and can't get one right. Hey, Shane, are we going to get Coach Kuhn here?
Severe, he'd like to push back on you a little bit.
I mean, he's more than welcome to do whatever he wants.
I love him. So
he's
I'm
an adult.
Give him the opportunity. He said, I said coaches now win early, thinking portal era. I might have said year 1, but I don't remember. I'm not as sharp as I used to be, but I'm sure it's possible.
That's fair.
See, that's what I love. Like,
no, I love Michael. Me and Michael talk all the time during home games. He just sits down the road from me,
and he always has jokes now on the phone, which he never used to. Like, I'm like,
I think when he doesn't,
I'm happier, and he's in a good spot.
I think when he doesn't have to do this every day, he's in a better mood.
Yeah. Oh, it's grimy, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, like, it's a grind. Like, it is. And he was doing that for 20 years or whatever. Like, he was in it.
Yeah.
But no, me and Michael
I don't have to work with that damn DB.
Me and Michael are great. I talk to Michael all the time. I love Michael. But I don't know if he said year 1 or early either. But it also depends on what you mean by winning early, too. Because I think when you tell me early, I think by year 3, year 4, it's reasonable to have results.
That's what I've always picked next year.
Yeah.
People sped it up on me partly because Coach Rule said it.
And because they were better.
And you guys fell in love with the schedule.
And because they were
you guys.
better last year.
You guys fell in love with the schedule.
Who?
You guys.
They were better last year.
You fell in love with the schedule.
They were better last year than Coach Rule typically is in year 1. And so we're like, oh, it's already year 2. And he kind of said that too. So that was, that's a.
You fell in love with the schedule.
We love schedule talk. That's the one thing you know about DB is we're going to get to like July.
Yeah.
And he's just going to be itching to talk about the schedule. I'll be like, DB, you can't really project like that. You don't know how people are going to be. And he's going to be like, Ravi, Lulla, we have to talk schedule.
It's a lot of lies being told.
We have to. There's not a single lie going to be told by our next guest, though. Coach Kuhn, Bird Kuhn from the Omaha Supernovas. PVF champion, Coach Kuhn. How are you this morning?
Hi there. Good morning. I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Good. Appreciate your versatility, Coach. It's a grade A debacle over here. We're just like managing mini house fires. So
yeah, I apologize. Our entire internet went down, and we were just trying to stay alive and stay on the air.
Hey,
so
if you've ever seen anybody trying to juggle sharp objects, that's what's going on here.
Coach,
amazing.
As we, before we get into schedule talk, which DB loves,
stop it.
How's it felt since the season ended? I mean, you walk around as a champion, you hold your head a little bit higher. How you been feeling?
It's been fun. I've been traveling a lot. That's kind of what I do. But yeah, I mean, it's been cool. It's awesome. I'm actually down in Phoenix right now. A couple of our players are playing down here, so it's fun to get to kind of follow them around, watch them, and just build our roster again. That's kind of what we've been doing.
So how are you looking? The league obviously growing? It's catching some momentum. 2025 schedule going to add some franchises. Like, what's the level of excitement for growth potential while you still try to at least somewhat stay in the moment?
Yeah, I mean, it's been awesome for our sport, to be honest, and that's the number one reason why a lot of us have been doing this and pushing for this. But it's cool to see the momentum going into season 2 with a new franchise, with Indy adding, and then just the players. I mean, there's so much interest for players for our league coming back from overseas internationally. And so it's just a big time for our sport right now. And we're excited to be a part of it, and we're excited to get started again.
Coach, obviously Omaha was it was the beacon of year one with the Pro Volleyball Federation, the huge attendance numbers. What excites you about going into year 2 with this team?
I mean, year 1, we had no idea what to expect. Even that opening match, we talked about it all the time. Now, year 2, it's like we have kind of an expectation, and it's just doing more, adding to it, building on. We already have 1,000 more season tickets sold, and our schedule obviously is coming out. We're excited about that. We have 3 Huskers on our team with possibly more, come draft time. So there's just the momentum to build off season 1 has been a real thing that we've been feeling and seeing just leading up to it. So it's just cool to see our sport in this on this platform, in this light, and just to see it reach new heights this season.
Are you surprised at the 22? You're going to be like, DB, stop fast forwarding to 2026, but Dallas and KC on the horizon as well, where it's just travel and managing your schedule. You always mention being all over the place, and you want to familiarity is cool, but you like new too. It kind of tests you at your coaching boundaries. How do you not just like sit back for a second and say, wow, we're in on the ground floor, and this thing is only going to it's going to mushroom by 2026. And you're already thinking, really? This was the vision 2 years ago, right? Oh yeah, it was.
Right. I mean, I think props to the owners and the people that years before this ever took off, wanted to be a part of this and wanted to invest in our sport. Us as coaches and players, this is something that we've dreamed of, just having these opportunities in the States. Europe and overseas has always been the only option. And now to get to talk to these college players and obviously professional players that have been playing overseas and have all the experience, it's cool to be able to provide them another opportunity. I don't know. I don't really sit back. There's time, but there's also just conversations and moving pieces. And, we're still trying to do it right and make sure we're taking care of everybody and keeping this thing going, So, I mean, but that's the way we're all wired too. I get together with coaches when they come down here, and it's like we're always talking about the next thing and what we need to do. So a lot of us just kind of roll with it because that's how we've always been working, even at the college level. But it is cool. I mean, sometimes there are reflecting moments like, okay, yeah, that really happened. So, yeah, that was our atmosphere. So, yeah, I mean, it's a special time for sure.
Coach, I know you're opening up with, I was told I was allowed to say this, January 10th with Atlanta. How excited are you?
Yeah, you are allowed to say that. That is the point.
We'd rather ask for permission, not forgiveness.
That's the only one I was told I was allowed to say.
Yes, our opening night is going to be epic. It's again against Atlanta Vibe, who's going to have a great team again this year. I mean, our league is only going to keep getting stronger, and that's what's exciting. But yeah, that'll be our banner night. It's what I've heard too. I guess we're allowed to talk about it. So we will be unveiling a banner. So that's exciting. So that'll be a big match. You know, we have a pretty fresh new roster. We'll be pretty young. But I'm excited about this group and where we're going to, you know, run it back. That's our goal.
Run it back.
Coach, let's go back to back. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, Coach.
Great to hear from you guys. We'll see you soon.
Make sure you get out to supernovas.com to get your tickets for that January 10th opener. We'll be back tomorrow. Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio. Now, Vegas insider, senior handicapper, and fan of the cold Budweiser bottles, Brian Edwards.
It's got to be touchdown, touchdown, touchdown.
Brian Edwards.
I don't really love it.
Brian Edwards.
Where they're using the cream cheese to butter the bagel.
Brian Edwards.
I'm going with the cowgirl.
Here is Brian Edwards.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities. We're live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We are joined now by our guy, Brian Edwards, our Vegas insider, MajorWager.com. The $1 million question, does the microphone work?
He gave me the audio thing as though he can't hear. Can you hear us now, BC? Or BC? Oh, there, we can hear Brian.
We can hear him. That's a miracle.
We can definitely hear Brian. Shane, should we buy some time since we can hear B?
For a second or two.
Yeah, he's coming in loud and clear. I can hear him.
Yeah, I did hear him. We're having some. Oh, yeah, we can definitely hear him. He's DJ Cool over here.
You want to try it one more time, Shane? Kick him out and come back, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, let's give it a go here. See if we can get to Brian. There's some interesting games this weekend that I kind of like a little bit.
Yeah.
You know.
Hey, B, can you hear us okay?
Can you hear us at all?
Nope, he can't.
All right,
I'll give him a call.
Let's grab him on the phone.
Okay.
You know, it's a little ironic, and I promise I didn't sabotage this. Ever since we've tried to bring him back on the stream, it has not worked.
Yeah, because you guys should have just left it the way it was. I told you I like seeing Brian Edwards. I like talking to him.
I like talking to him too. I like to remind him that Billy Napier is a better coach than he thinks he is.
No, you're gonna ask every week. Hey, you coming around on Billy yet?
I'm 100,
and he's like, no,
100% gonna ask him that every single week.
No, heck no.
Billy Napier, better than you think.
Travis is just hammering Shane. Get him, Travis. Get it. Yeah, Shane.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, Shane. Hey, B, are you there, bud?
Nope, not yet.
Well, Shane's why you Shane?
He's
stop
just,
making small talk.
He's just chatting.
Let's get the man on the phone.
He's just chatting him up like he's old buddies.
Hey man, what's going on?
Hey B, what's up?
Doing all right? How are things?
Sometimes, for some reason, I think when Shane talks to guests, I imagine him doing it in like a Michael Jackson voice.
Somebody said they hated my impersonation, so I'm gonna stop doing them.
No, I thought the Michael Jackson might be your best one. That was incredible.
Wow,
it was Severe. Severe said he hated your impersonations.
Hater.
Are you using Severe to buy time? Because
No.
we don't have to do that anymore.
Hi, B.
Brian Edwards, what's going on, bud?
What's happening, fellas? Always an adventure.
Hey, so how impressive were you, real quick, with Tapoya? And we know he's explosive and it's like TNT in his hands, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I thought Max was fighting well.
He was.
Until he took that big shot. Yeah, I thought Max was fighting really well. Tapoya's just, man, he's got dynamite in those hands. And, yeah, I mean, look, hey, he wore sunglasses to the post-fight presser. I mean, he was busted up pretty good.
Yeah.
All right, B, let's jump into college football here. Your big play of the week, one of my darlings on the season, the Commodores from Vandy, +7 at Auburn, and Hugh Freeze, who I think I hate more than you hate Billy Napier. What do you like on Vandy at Auburn?
Yeah, I don't. It's this weird. It's this weird obsession. He cannot stand Hugh Freeze.
Yeah, I think he's the worst.
Well, I get that, Ravi. I mean, somebody just constantly lies, but yet like prides himself on that religion card, but is a total dirtbag. I mean, I get it.
I do think it's the hypocrisy that gets me. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Diego Pavia is Hugh Freeze's daddy. Pavia went to Liberty when he was at New Mexico State as a 24.5-point underdog and beat Hugh Freeze's Liberty team 49-14. Then he came into Jordan-Hare last year with New Mexico State, and he beat Hugh Freeze's Auburn team 31-10 as a 26-point road underdog. So those two games between Pavia and Freeze, Pavia's teams have beat the closing line by 106.5 combined points. Vandy is 5-0 against the spread as an underdog this year with 3 outright wins. Their losses, they've lost by 3 twice, once in overtime, and they lost by 4. I made Auburn 2.5. I like Vandy to win outright. Give them to me +7. Let's get a smaller play on Vandy around +205 money line.
All right, B. I actually want to jump over. So we'll stay in college, but I want to jump over to the Big Ten with Indiana. I know you got that number a little bit earlier in the week at -7 against Michigan State. It's jumped up now. Do you still like it?
Yeah, I do like it at 8. I don't know that I'd go much higher than 8, but I mean, Indiana's just an automatic play for me at this point. They've won all 8 of their games by 14 points or more, and the last 1.5 games they've been without Curtis Rourke. He's now back this week, 15-3 TDI-INT ratio, and Indiana's just a lot better than Sparty. I mean, you're on the road. There's always a chance, maybe they're flat or can't perform week in and week out. Well, they have performed week in and week out. And until they don't perform, I'm going to keep riding them. Give me Indiana.
Yeah, this line, I don't know. Unless they think the Commanders have a hangover. Giants are atrocious. It's a key number on the road. I get it. It's the NFL, but it seems like the Commanders should be favored by more than 3.5. What do you like?
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I got a clean -3 Monday morning. I couldn't believe it. I tweeted it out, and but I'm okay at 4. Look, Washington never should have came to the Hail Mary last week, man. They should have won that game by 2 touchdowns. They had some red zone issues, and credit to the Bears defense. And I mean, there was a point mid-third quarter. Caleb Williams had 3 completions, but DeAndre Swift broke that 56-yard touchdown run, and things kind of changed from there. But anyway, they out-yarded them 481-307, and it was worse than that most of the game. Most of the game, they had more than twice the yardage and more than twice the first down. But yet they still win and cover last week. Give me the Commanders. -4 is fine. I got it at 3. I'm good with -4.
B, speaking of a clean -3 on the road, Lions at Packers. I don't know. It feels like Lions -3 stealing money, but am I crazy?
That's good. It's kind of gutsy, man. I like the. No. I think the Packers are better than we think.
I don't know, man.
I don't know.
Look. I think I said this last. I would take Dan Campbell -3. Pretty much anywhere to anybody except for at Baltimore and at Kansas City. I mean, the way they're playing right now. Love the Lions. I mean, look, it's on the road, division game. It could go differently. But last 4 games, Jared Goff, 10 touchdown passes, no picks. Lions have won 5 in a row, straight up and ATS. They've won by margins of 7, 13, 38, 2, and 38. Give me the Lions.
B, I want to get to a couple of my faves. One of them having a terrible year. We're just in full fade Florida State mode. Is that what's happening here?
Yes.
At least you're consistent.
Man. Always betting on Indiana, always fading Florida State.
Yeah. And look, like FSU's against the spread record is technically 3-5, but like 2 of those covers were won to Clemson because the line moved. It was 14.5 to 15.5 all week. It moved to 17 game day. They lose by 16, so it's technically a cover. Same thing last week. Miami was 21 all week. It moves to 23, so FSU technically gets the cover, losing by 22. But North Carolina got well off the bye week, ended their 4-game losing streak, won 41-14 at UVA. Jacoby Criswell, their QB, last 3 games, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Let's fade the Noles. Give me UNC minus 2.5.
And then my other fave that is killing it this year because we are honking for Jeff Monken, Army, baby. What do we got for Army this week?
Claude have mercy.
But I think you can bet Army any way you want, but I did minus 13.5 in the first half and team total over 31.5. So their scoring output this season are 42, 37, 42, 49, 44, 45, and the only outlier was 24 once. But they've scored 42 or more in 4 straight games. They're averaging 40.4 points per game. And as for the first half line, they've been up at least 14 at halftime in every game except for one. They only led by 7 at FAU at halftime, and FAU got their touchdown with 53 seconds left. But every other game, been up at least 14 at half. And Air Force is horrible, 1-6 straight up, 0-7 ATS. And yeah. Let's go Army. But, I mean, you can probably lay the 22 and be okay. I just think team total in first half of the ways I'm going.
We call that a wagon, B.
That's right, buddy. That's right.
Let's get to a little bit of NFL to wrap this one up. Let's start with tonight's game. This number feels real weird. Texans +2 against the trash Jets.
Yeah, I mean, I would love Houston tonight if it wasn't for the wide receiver injuries. I still like them. I'm still on them. But, I mean, I don't like them the level I like the Commanders and the Lions this week. But, yeah, I'm on Houston +2 tonight.
And then the last one, Colts +5.5 at the Vikings. Are you buying into the little bit of a Viking skid?
A little bit. I mean, they have lost back-to-back. Indy has won 4 of its last 6 and covered all 6 of them. And Indy's been an underdog 5 times this year, 5-0 ATS. And Flacco, 7-1 TDI&T ratio. I think it's a close game. Give me Colts +5 or 5.5.
All right, same thing I got to ask you every week, B. How we feeling about our guy, Billy Napier?
Well, I certainly do not want the Gators to win outright this week because that would be really, really bad.
Actively rooting against your squad. Sad, B.
Hey, it's all about the long-term health of the program, gentlemen, and that's what I've got in mind.
I got bad news.
Appreciate your heart, too. We've been talking about that all morning.
Long-term
sustainability.
Lane Kiffin ain't walking through that door, brother.
Okay, Kirk Cignetti has become my new plan A.
Well,
I mean, I think we get Kiffin, but
he makes you money every week. I'd like him too.
Right?
That's our guy, Brian Edwards, Major Wager, our Vegas Insider. We appreciate it, B.
Thanks, B.
Thanks, fellas. Y'all have a good weekend.
Michael Bruntz coming up next.
We will be back. will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Yeah, I think we just made it a point of emphasis throughout the week. You know, we knew the things that we had to do as far as disguise and make sure we're changing things up. And obviously the D-line did a great job rushing the passer. I mean, anytime you do that, you create pressure on the quarterback, you confuse them on the back end, you play great coverage, you can play man, you can play zone, you could switch it up on them. So I think that was the key. And obviously stopping the run game too. The early in the game, there was a huge fourth down stop, you know, so I think that gives you confidence knowing that you could do it. And you're obviously playing a good football team. So I think the preparation was there. I think the attitude was right. We're rushing the passer and changing up the coverage on them.
Kicking off hour number 3 here on Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, KFOR in Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here on the Pillar Exterior stage. We're joined by Michael Bruntz of Husker 24/7. Bruntz, what's going on, man?
Not much. How you guys doing?
Oh, hi, Mike. How we doing?
Not bad. Congratulations, Damon, by the way.
Thank you. It was
glad to see they got it over the finish line.
I was not playing, but I love when my friends are like, hey, we know you cheer for those guys, so thank you. I was very let me ask you something, Bruntz. I've been parsing through this. Would you have gone out to talk to Cole at any point during that inning?
Yeah, probably.
No, okay. You realize that no one did, though, right?
I'm aware. I mean,
okay,
you probably could have taken a 20 there and been okay, right? Like you needed to just kind of give everybody a chance to breathe a little bit.
Did you feel that way in real time, or are you looking back at it now?
Kind of looking back on it now, but I mean, I don't know. I mean,
I'll make the argument. This is what the argument I made to DB was. And I'm not saying it was the right thing to do. You probably, like you said, you should go out and talk to him and let everybody breathe. Like in the moment, they hadn't scored. You got 2 outs. They're not really hitting the ball hard. You're just not playing it well. Like I could kind of understand in the moment they're doing it one run at a time. So it doesn't necessarily feel like that momentous 3-run homer or whatever. Like I can kind of understand how you miss it. Not saying you should, but I kind of got it.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think, well, obviously hindsight helps, but I don't know. I mean, I always err a little bit more on the side of you make the visit if you feel like if you're considering the visit, you should probably make the visit. But I mean, it's you're right. I mean, there wasn't any big big punch that was thrown. It was just kind of, death by 1,000 cuts kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was just the slow bleed, right?
Get some gauze on that, man.
Yeah, it's like just a Band-Aid, buddy. Let's go.
I'm not gonna kid you. At one point I felt bad.
Really?
Yeah, because I felt like Rizzo was a little lazy. I felt like there was a culmination of things, and I think I've watched Cole for so long. I know he was probably fuming inside, and I'm just like, well, somebody just go. And then they kept panning over to Boone, just taking these big chugs of water, and I was like, you guys are not helping the case any. My man is out here on the struggle bus, and his manager acts like he got his first lining kugel after a long day's worth of work. I was like, wow.
Even the producers were like, do something, man. Go out there, put the water down. Go talk to him.
It was incredible.
Bruntz, before we move on to off of baseball here, because it's the season's over now, we got to squeeze a little bit more out of it, right?
I detected another sarcasm.
No, I'm being serious. Do you think we deserve, or Dave Roberts deserves a little bit of flowers for the way he kind of handled not just the series and the game last night, but kind of the postseason in general? They obviously had to deal with a lot of issues in terms of starting pitching and working the bullpen. Like, it seemed like he did the right thing more often than not.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not really dialed in on Dodger baseball and
shame on you.
But he's kind of been maligned.
You gotta have one good team in California, don't you?
Just gotta have one team in California at all at some point.
Well, they're just moving within California, and yeah, poor Mike Trout, by the way. But I think, he had a little bit of. I think Dave Robertson kind of puffed the chest out a little bit. I was telling somebody the other day. I mean, it's for all that he's kind of not done. It's kind of remarkable that he's still in the manager's chair, isn't it? I mean, like I would think that if you're spending, that kind of money on a roster, that the patience wouldn't necessarily be there in a lot of places. So, he validated that confidence, and good. I mean, good for him. I mean, I do roll my eyes a little bit. I understand they had injuries, but I mean, let's not. They weren't like
don't do it, Bruntz.
They weren't crawling through the muck the whole season. Everybody has injuries, Damon. Not everybody spends $500 million on a roster.
The plucky underdog, Los Angeles Dodgers.
You guys were doing so well. That was great. I remember a long time ago, like 10 seconds ago, when we were friends. That was cool.
I mean, they're basically the manifestation of Billy Bean's Moneyball.
How about this dude just turncoating in a matter of seconds?
Well, let's just remember who we're talking. Like when you're like, I kind of feel bad for Garrett Cole. No, you don't. It's the Yankees and the Dodgers. They're fine. They write checks. Nobody cares.
I don't think I didn't catch how you said, really?
Just incredulous.
Really? You good over there? What?
Bruntz, speaking of having some patience with guys in the head chair, we've kind of been having this discussion this morning about how there's a perception in college football now that because of the transfer portal, because of NIL, that guys should win much earlier than they had in the past. Now, we don't have a ton of track record post the transfer portal, making guys not sit out anymore or unlimited transfers. But do you subscribe to that in terms of, hey, it's easier to get your guys in now. You probably need to start winning year 1 or year 2 instead of year 3, year 4.
Yeah. I mean, I think the patience is less.
Should it be though, I guess, is the question.
Yeah. I mean, and then like Curt Cignetti, I mean, he's not helping anybody by playing the way they're playing.
Telling you, man.
So I think year 1 is still, it's a challenge in year 1. I mean, I portal or not, it's tough to win in year 1, I think, Cignetti notwithstanding. And I think I think it's easier to flip things because, I mean, a lot of times it comes down to whether or not, you find the right quarterback. And, I think you can kind of get off to a better start. The pressure, I think, now with the portal becomes like, let's say you have a good year one and you're doing it with a senior quarterback. What does year two look like? I mean, you're kind of in this box now of, okay, well, you did it then. Like, let's catch lightning in a bottle again. And I think what's going to be interesting as we continue forward with whatever, college football is going to look like is, what that kind of reset looks like after you've had your first run of success. Like, are you, like, how do you get to the sustained winning, I guess, is maybe what's more of the challenge now, because I do think if you're in a situation where the NIL is strong and you're able to find the right guys, I do think you can kind of get off to a quicker start than you used to be able to. But, how many coaches are going to be able to, in year three, kind of build on what they did in a strong year one? I think that's going to be what I'm interested to see as we get further into this.
Yeah, what's funny, I'm going to go back to something Coach Frost said a while ago. And listen, I get the tumultuous tenure, but he was far from dumb. And he said something privately once. He goes, short of catching lightning in a bottle, which is possible, he said, we're a long ways away from being able to sustain this. I shouldn't have panicked early. I'll never forget that he had the kind of the self-awareness to kind of like real time be saying that, knowing in some other areas he's literally getting scrutinized by the day. And I get it, right? A lot of it he earned. But to your point in terms of what you're talking about in terms of sustainability, Coach Rule's just going to have the conviction to actually do it. They both thought the same thing. One's just going to actually have the kind of the experience and the wherewithal to know how to pull it off.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Potentially. I also think, we don't need to relitigate the past, but the kind of next wave of guys that you were going to count on under the previous regime just never happened. I mean, part of it was really poor timing with COVID, where you had a couple recruiting classes that were, you struggled to keep guys in Lincoln. It is basically what happened. But I think, I think you kind of have to go through that a little bit. And I think also, as much as you can have the experience, I think you also have to kind of be nimble to say, like, okay, this is what we want to get to, and this is how I want it to look. But you have to be able to kind of move with the shifting. It's crazy, every 6 months how recruiting rules change, and this is different, and that's different, and you can pay guys, and I would think that it would be very tough to follow a blueprint, and especially the one that was kind of laid out 10 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, I get like there's kind of a way to do it, but you kind of have to be able to function in the way things are now. And I think that's a big challenge, I think. So I'm eager to kind of see how Nebraska continues to do that under Matt Rule. But I do think, the getting to sustained success requires a lot of planning, some fortitude that your way is going to work, and also, probably a little bit of patience on the part of people that are generally not patient, meaning fans and administrators and everybody else.
He said it last year, right? This is kind of what you get with me. And he doubled down after Ohio State. Like, you don't have to worry about his resolve, even though it gets a little chaotic around him.
Yeah, no, I think, like I said, I think he knows how it needs to look and what it needs to look like behind the scenes to get where they want to go. It's just a matter of, whether or not, Nebraska specifically, if they can do that.
He's still fine-tuning and tweaking travel, right? He just wants to get everything the way that it should be. Because he would say, DB, well, what's that have to do with winning? well, nothing, but everything, right? Like, we need to streamline this. We need to be more efficient. It doesn't matter if it's blocking power or G scheme versus how we travel. Like, just the attention to detail across the board so it's sustainable is like forever ingrained in his DNA.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about it this way. I mean, he basically shows up and you're adding 4 new teams to the conference. I mean, everybody's dealing with this, but I mean, you're adding 2 more time zones that you have to travel through a couple times a year. You know, that's another thing that you've got to kind of get right. I mean, there's very little stability right now in like being able to just kind of, you know, sit where you are and put your head down and work. I mean, it's you really like that's
a great analogy. I like that.
The nimbleness has to be there.
Bruntz, could I make the argument based on all those things that you're talking about having to kind of adapt and the rules changing every 6 months?
My man dropped nimble.
I do. I like that. I said incredulous. He dropped nimble. We're learning here on this. You know, just a couple Millard North guys trying to educate people.
That's a combined 38 on the ACT. Congratulations on your 33 there, Bruntz.
Not even close to that, but yeah.
I was going to say, I might have beat Bruntz on the ACT. I'm not sure. I'm a good test taker. A lot of my people are.
Me no math well. Is basically my issue.
I bet you killed it on the reading and writing section, though.
Oh, man. Okay. All right.
I was trying to ask a real question, and I don't know what happened to it. It's gone now. It's Michael Bruntz we're talking with from Husker 24/7.
Would you make the argument?
Could you make the argument with all the things you brought up, everything changing, everything, the rules changing, the transfer portal, NIL, you're gonna have a payroll to meet pretty soon, that with all of those things, that a culture may be one of the only translatable things from like through all of this? And I know it's kind of annoying because we use culture all the time and we're talking about like just go out there and win or whatever, and people get frustrated because you got Signetti winning in year 1. But in terms of sustained success, could I make the argument that culture is the only thing you can actually count on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it matters. I mean, even Indiana, I think there's something of a culture there, right? I mean, you know, guys at Indiana play with a confidence and a cockiness that probably is not deserved at a place like Indiana, in part because that's how their head coach is, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I think that stuff matters. I mean, at some point you got to win some games, but I mean, I think if you have that in place, it makes it easier to get to that next reset that we kind of started talking about. Like, you know, I think, you know, if you have something that if you say this is who we are, this is what we do, it makes it easier to find guys in the portal that fit that. I think it kind of gives your program a little bit of an identity too. Like I think players kind of associate, you know, that attitude with a particular coach and a program, even for a short amount of time. So, yeah, I mean, that stuff matters. I mean, I think a way to kind of guarantee you that you're not going to get to that second reset is to kind of be haphazard about what you are and who you are and kind of what you do within the walls of your program.
Bruntz, when we look at UCLA, and you know, I made the reference, and it may come back to haunt me. I said it felt like last week was kind of Coach Rule's Normandy, right, where he wanted to make the stand from the cultural, philosophical deal to put his team in position where they have to go out and repeat it this week against UCLA. Do you find that it's interesting how he's not afraid to kind of put his own back against the wall for something that would be so readily able to be critiqued, right? Like, okay, you said this, and this. Let's put it to the test against next week against UCLA, this, right? He's kind of left almost no margin for error there, but he seems to embrace that. Do you think his team can?
Is he talking to us or is he talking to his team when he says stuff like that publicly?
Low from column A, low from column B.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that too.
Yeah, like I when he was saying some of that stuff, and he, said that we're going to find out a lot about who we are. I mean, I get him saying that, and it's 100% true, but I mean, I think it felt like that was more pointed towards, hammering home what he's probably saying in the locker room and in meetings and things like that. I mean, and the conversation is out there, obviously, about the whole possibility, the breaking that streak, and that's an important piece of it. But I mean, I don't get the sense that there's extra pressure over there this week because of that, or even because of what he said about backing it up. I mean, I think guys know that they have to do that, and when even when guys are walking to the buses after the Ohio State game, coming out of the locker room, I mean, they were already kind of repeating that, and we're on board with that message of not accepting the moral victory, but just saying that it doesn't really matter if they come out and lay an egg against UCLA. So it felt like that kind of conversation. I mean, he's saying that in front of his players, but I don't know that the way he's saying it really kind of amps up the pressure at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I've never gotten the sense that this team plays particularly tight. Maybe Indiana. I still don't know what that was, but I don't think that
I don't either.
I don't think it's a team that gets really tight.
Bruntz, as you look at UCLA, obviously the record is not something you're going to write home about, but you look at the schedule and kind of who they've played and how they've played them. Do you think their
trajectory is up?
You think there's a gap between who they actually are and the perception of who they've been?
Yeah, I mean the numbers are not good either. When you kind of go through them, I mean they've played a tough schedule. They've been in those games until the third quarter. They also, I mean, I don't know how dialed in you guys were on that Hawaii UCLA game to start.
The come from behind, man. I was extra dialed,
locked in, baby.
Yeah,
big Timmy Chang guy.
Yeah, I mean they escaped with that win, and it feels like a competent group. I don't know. Is Rutgers the same Rutgers team that Nebraska played? I don't get the sense that they are. Did Nebraska break Rutgers? I don't know. But they did go across the country and win a road game, which has not been easy to do for a lot of teams in the Big Ten. So I don't know. I mean, there's things that concern you. They stop the run. They've got
they're physical too.
They got a quarterback that can do some things, who's been through it. The special teams is, their specialists are pretty good. So if Nebraska comes out and plays with the effort that they did against Ohio State, I have no doubt they'll be fine. But if Nebraska comes out and kind of plays with its food a little bit and makes some mistakes and a play here or a play there, they're not in the right gap. I mean, that's how you can get to a bad place against a team like this. So it feels like a game that's more about Nebraska than UCLA in my mind. But I do think this is a game that Nebraska should be able to come out and control. But there's obviously some off ramps to where that's not the case.
Bruntz, how did you feel like we're always trying to guess the tenor? Any summations from pressers this week, in your opinion, about Psyche?
No, I didn't. It didn't feel any different than after the Ohio State game.
Yeah, it seems kind of matter of facty, right?
Yeah, I didn't get the sense that. I mean, I know Ty Robinson said he was proud of the effort and that stuff after Ohio State, but I mean, I feel like guys have moved on from that. Like they're not kind of like resting on the effort that they had there, and. So yeah, I mean, I think they're dialed in. I mean, I think they'll also kind of be better for having gone through the way last November went, when that team did play tight. Like that felt like a really kind of nervous team to me at times when it got late in the season. And we'll see if they learn the lessons from that. I think they have, but like I said earlier, man, I've never gotten the sense that this team is a particularly they just seem pretty comfortable and pretty business-like is probably the best way to put it.
Bruntz, we'll get you out of here on this. What's more likely when we talk to you next week? Nebraska is bowl eligible, or Miller North is playing in the second round of the playoffs?
Ooh. I'm gonna go bowl game.
There we go.
You're gonna be checking hotels in Phoenix and wondering if Nashville's in the future. That's where it's going to be.
As long as it's not Detroit. That's our guy, Michael Bruntz from Husker 24/7. We appreciate it, Bruntz. We'll talk to you next week.
See you guys.
Although Detroit renovation has gotten pretty good downtown.
Yeah, it's just I don't want to be cold. You know what I'm saying? It's not about Detroit. It's about the weather. That's CB. I'm Ravi. Lulla. We'll be back. More Hurrdat Sports Radio coming up next.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Welcome back to Hurrdat Sports Radio, AM 590, ESPN Omaha, ESPN Tri-Cities, Capital and Lincoln. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill. It's time for a bet on it, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. Warhorse Sportsbook, no bets, no glory. Make sure you're going to the sportsbooks in Lincoln and Omaha to place your bets. You can place bets on nearly every major sporting event, and it is the best place in Nebraska to do that. Make sure you go to warhorsecasino.com for more information. DB, before we get to Wyatt here, I want to revisit the very, very, very stinky line we have in the NFL.
What is it?
That the Texans +2.
You don't like that?
No, because I don't think...
You like that, huh?
I don't think that Aaron Rodgers' magic cayenne pepper water is going to make a difference in this game. And I don't know how else we're getting to plus. I don't know how I get there's receiver issues in Houston, but we're really making the Jets a favorite over any damn buddy.
Yeah, tonight.
You know they lost to the Patriots last week, right? That's a bad team.
I'm just telling you, there's something about the Jets. They were favored on the road at Pittsburgh.
Are they the UCF of the NFL? Where they're just favored in games that we're just, what in the hell is happening here?
I don't know.
UCF was a favorite against BYU last week.
Oh, it just depends. Is Devontae Adams still talking?
Aaron Rodgers is.
They need to move on from DA already.
They need to move on from AR already.
Nah, I can't do that.
No, because they are pot committed.
Yeah, all in.
They are pot committed to this guy who needs to be committed in Aaron Rodgers.
You know, that line is not floating your boat?
None of what that dude does floats my boat.
Yeah, they're favored.
You think I don't like Hugh Freeze? Whew.
But I will say this, though. Texans, they're not as good as their record.
No, they're not.
But they're good. They're good.
I think the Jets are worse than their record.
Wow.
Because they started 2-1. They've been very bad since then.
Yeah.
Like, I know 2-6 is a bad record. I think they're currently worse than that. That is a dumpster fire of a franchise.
Is that worse than giving up 5 runs and having none of them earned?
It's not great.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
It's not great. We also have a little bit of...
You want to get to Wyatt quick?
Yeah.
Let's get to Wyatt quick.
Wyatt, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, you guys aren't gonna hang up on me again, are you?
No, that was Shane.
Yeah, I would never. That
was Shane O'Buttons. So we have a Bumblebee and
Ghost right now. Oh no, Bell. They have a Ghost costume on, so that makes a rotation.
Oh, gotcha.
Wait, so they're doing like wardrobe changes on Halloween?
No, because there's like Jamie, there's like 1,000 trunk or treats that we've had to go through.
Oh,
so
yeah, gotcha.
They get choices sometimes. We have some hand-me-down costumes, so we just want to use them.
Oh, that's nice. Got anything for a 6-year-old, even though nobody in your house is over 3?
Getting in the rotation there a little bit.
What's up, bud? What's on your mind?
Well, so I just want to talk about, because I'm a fan, and sometimes I'm thinking things, and then I come to listen to your show. I'm like, oh no, I must have been thinking like a knucklehead because. But to be fair, too, for the fans' perspective, we're like you guys are my primary. I do listen to other things, other media outlets, and other talking heads.
Yeah. How dare you?
Well, and one of my black fans called in yesterday too.
I still can't believe you let him watch your kids, but that's a whole nother discussion.
Well, Chris is there too, so that helps out.
Good call. Good call.
So to be fair, for like a fan's perspective, so we're getting a lot of things, and they are a little bit more some harsher criticisms, of Satterfield out there.
Oh yeah.
So I think for a fan like me, and I hate to, sorry, Dave, I'm sorry for this, but some of us fans are thinking, is Satterfield just going to be the same coach 10 games from now? And that's the worry about it.
That's a nice bull. Wow. Asian White here for Canadians.
Yeah, but but hey, like going back to what Sam said, I mean, Caleb's mom was a good athlete too, right?
Yeah. You're on a roll so far here, Wyatt.
Yeah. Am I still on your contacts list?
Yeah. For now, barely.
Well, we're coming tomorrow, so I hope you let me in the door.
Yeah, you got it. It'll be a good one.
All right, but yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we as a fan, we hear a lot of things. So, but it's good to get like in politics, it's good to get resources from others, different locations. So again, sometimes I do think a certain way, but you guys, help guide my thought process in the meantime as well.
I appreciate that, Wyatt. We'll see if we can get you breakfast tomorrow. I don't know. It's kind of tough.
Well, just get some tater tots for the girls, and I'll be happy.
Oh, you got it. I appreciate it. Thanks, Wyatt.
Wyatt, appreciate the call there. Man, he was just throwing some scuds at you.
Yeah.
You doing all right over there?
She did say, my greatest fear is you're going to be the same person in 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still don't know if Sam was saying that.
I don't either.
I'm not sure.
Wyatt definitely was.
Oh, 100%.
I don't know if Sam was.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's all right. We out here.
Much like on social media, I got thick skin, baby. Thick skin. I'm like Teflon.
You got to.
Pounds, baby, pounds, pieces.
Do you like the Tulane Charlotte game at all night?
I do not.
I don't either.
I do not.
I'm not even sure I want to watch that. I probably will because
I thought you were a big Tulane guy.
I like.
You don't like their color scheme?
I liked Willie Fritz.
I like their uniforms.
So I'm kind of I don't have a ton of reason. I'm also I don't really need to see Charlotte. I'm not a big Biff guy.
Oh, I don't. I'm not in on Charlotte either.
I don't necessarily need to spend.
And it's
my
our
time
only.
on that.
It's our only one tonight.
Yeah, that's the thing that's bumming me out here. Is I wouldn't even brought it up, but I'm just staring at it. It's like
what's tomorrow?
I kind of want to watch
Suspect too.
I kind of want to watch college football tonight, but I don't think I'm going to have anything. Tomorrow you got Georgia State, UConn. Woof. San Diego State, Boise State should be good, but San Diego State's struggling this year. So
yeah, that's not going to be good.
No, I mean typically the brands would be good, but that's not a good matchup tomorrow.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer, which means it's a good night to get out and watch some high school football.
Yeah, Gianti's got every running back out here in the country at a high school level just standing straight up now.
Is that like the high school running back equivalent of like guys that started pulling up from 35 feet in high school basketball in like 2015?
Yeah. I saw a stat, and it's early. It might have been NBA Stat Muse.
Mm-hmm.
On pull-up threes.
Yeah.
Being up like 34%.
Yep.
From a year. Again, the sample, as Jacob Padilla would say, very small sample size.
We're like 4 games in.
But folks are like coming down just jacking for beats, man. It's like...
So I was kind of having this argument. We haven't talked a lot of NBA, and that's fine. We it's football season. But I was having this argument with our guy, RP, and then a bunch of other people got chimed in on Twitter about his affinity, and I know you kind of have the same thing for 80s and 90s basketball compared to today.
Yeah.
And I will,
mine isn't in comparison. It's just not as trash as you make it out to be.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I heard something about somebody's like, I'm not going to say I'm willing to die on that hill anymore. I'm going to start saying I'm willing to kill somebody on that hill.
Wow.
Or if somebody says, hey, you're going to die on that hill, I'll say, well, someone is.
No. Hey, by the way, speaking of NBA, and it's early and we like him.
Yeah.
I think you got to shout out B-Max, his Hornets. They're off to a 2-2 start.
Dude, have you watched LaMelo this year? Woof. My guy is straight channeling his Chino, do not give a single F style of play. That dude There has never been.
This started out as a tribute to Ben McLaughlin, and you're hammering ball.
You think Ben?
You see, Big Brother's got the fracture. He's hurt again.
I know, it bums me out, man.
Really?
I like Lonzo.
So we can't blame it on the shoes because it's a hand injury.
Yeah, I know. I think he's just injury prone. I think he's just.
Maybe they missed vitamin D.
Maybe didn't get enough sun out there. Maybe he forgot to. Maybe all the things that LeVar was working on forgot to get the vitamins in there.
Totally.
The Vita Vegemin.
I would imagine they were a big supplement family.
They do.
You think he'd have been knocking out the vitamin D?
Well, maybe they focused too much on the creatine and not enough on like the powdered greens.
Yeah.
Get those bones strong.
I have a powdered green, and it's atrocious.
Some of them, there's a huge variance in how good they are.
Ugh.
Some of them are very bad.
That's like 4-year-old plug your nose and get it down type stuff.
Yeah, I can't do it. I cannot do it. Much like I probably cannot watch college football tonight.
Are we going to act like So I was talking to John over text about it.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones is 5-2-1 against Washington. He has a 98 QBR.
That's a bad team, though.
12 touchdowns, 3 picks. But your coach just had to come out and say yesterday that you're actually going to start. It can't be good in the neighborhood in New York.
I wouldn't think so.
How's it only 4?
That's another stinky line.
Yeah, that's John's all in.
Hey.
He El Gigantes plus the 4.
Sometimes stinky lines are just free money.
Yeah.
That's bet on it.
Public needs something to play with too, don't they?
That's right. If they never win, they ain't got no cash to come back. That's Bet on It, brought to you by Warhorse Sportsbook. No bets, no glory. We'll be back to wrap up the show here on Hurrdat Sports Radio.
We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. We will be back. You're listening to Hurrdat Sports Radio.
Wrapping up the show here on a Thursday. Forgot what day it was for a second.
It's happened pretty fast.
It has. It's been a fast week. It means tomorrow you can join us here at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
As we preview the Bruins.
We can hang out, have some breakfast, maybe you're taking Friday off. Maybe have a couple breakfast cocktails.
Wow.
You know?
So was it Matt that we talked to yesterday that took the over under of 42.5 pass attempts?
Yeah, it was our guy Matt Stevens, the color analyst for UCLA. Take the over, which you even bumped it for him because you started at 40.5 for me, and then you bumped it up.
I don't know if they're gonna. What are they gonna run? 65 plays?
Well, so that's the question. The only reason I would even entertain an under is if they just don't run enough plays to get there.
Is it 65 plays?
Probably, maybe. I could see a world in where UCLA does not run 60 plays. Like if Nebraska controls the game the way I think they want to.
I don't know. UCLA is pretty good up front.
I know.
Pretty good up front. I think that may surprise some people. You watch Penn State yet? Watch it tonight.
The Penn State UCLA?
Yeah.
Not since it happened.
But we'll see. I mean, did you watch any of Monangai? And I know you have the biggest. You had me thinking Monangai was Walter Payton.
I
Like
did not.
Don't act like
I did not. Everybody was trying to convince me that Monangai was this world beater.
No, man. I got a good memory. I might be making that part.
No, you're 100% making that up because do you not remember me saying he gets.
I know the negative rushes.
Yeah, he gets a lot of negative rush yards and then he kind of bursts a little bit.
I had to keep that joke from Bruin because I don't need you getting upset. I can always feel when
when I'm escalating.
Yes. I was like, okay, man, I'm just joking.
We're back off.
Okay, that's not going to go over well. You just talked about killing people on hills, so it's like,
hey, so you gonna die on that hill? Somebody is. Let's get to our guy Jack. Our guy, I believe in Tennessee, he wants to talk a little Rule and Satterfield. Jack, what's going on?
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Cactus Jack, what's up, buddy?
I tell you what. Sometimes trying to get into you guys, I think it'd be easier to get an audience with the Pope. Hey, real quickly, and then I'm gonna hang it up and listen to what you got to say. But every once in a while, I trust Rule to the point that it's funny that when Rule talks, he never talks down to people.
Mm-hmm.
He talks to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a quality that, a lot of coaches don't have, that try to have that attitude of a little more important than everybody else, or know a little more. And I served under an officer 57 years ago that every once in a while I have flashbacks to that guy when Rule talks, because it's just, it was just kind of he just talked to you. It didn't raise Cain, and a lot of those officers they act like they have a real air of superiority, but this guy just talked. And I guarantee you, the guys that served under that guy, we'd have run through the gates of hell for that guy. But and this thing with Satterfield and everything, I just trust Rule to the point that if he wants to make a change, he'll make a change. It's not up to me or anybody else that pounds on keyboards or to really have. I don't care what they think. It's up to Rule. Whatever Rule wants to do, I'm good with it.
Yeah.
If he wants him to stay, stay. If he wants him to go, go. Well, I'm good. All right, fellas. Thanks for listening.
Jack, you're the man. I appreciate it.
You bet.
Always good to talk to you, Jack. And
big Jack guy.
Yeah, no, Jack is great.
Big
I'll always take his call.
Dude, his voice though. Remember the first time he called?
I know. I was stunned.
I was like, wow, you should do what I do.
He's incredible. We love Jack. He's always very reasonable.
Is that the first time he just low-key dropped that he was in the military?
Yeah, I think so.
And
just casually
57 years ago.
57 years ago.
When he moved from here to Tennessee, I wanted to make sure that he was able to get us on the app. So that's the reason.
You took care of him?
I took care of him because I want to hear from Jack.
Shane, do you know how to use the app?
That's the first kind thing you've done maybe since I've known you.
I know. I went out of my way.
And we're going back to.
And I don't do that.
We're going back 20 years.
Oh, so you're going back to the aughts.
Huh. You did that on your own too?
Yeah, nobody told me. I just did it.
Oh, you're all grown up.
We like Jack. Jack's a good guy. And he's got some good points too.
Yeah.
I will say
Did you be honest? Did you envision running into the gates of hell? I'd be like, ooh, that's pretty hot.
Just be like, is it a metal gate? Because I'm gonna burn myself on that. No, I will say, I brought up the analytics of Glenn Thomas versus Marcus Satterfield earlier in the week or last week.
Do you know what you should bring up the analytics of?
What's that?
You getting better for the rest of this season, because that's what we better focus on.
100%. Yeah.
That's what we better focus on.
I will say, that's and the reason I bring that up is because if you want to get better over the course of the season, the plan should not be to switch play callers in the middle of the season. Yeah. That's not productive. Even if the analytics were favorable to Glenn Thomas versus Marcus Satterfield, which they are not, as a play caller, he grades out very well as a quarterback coach, by the way. But as a play caller, that's not analytically an improvement. Even if it were, you're still dealing with a philosophy change in the middle of the season, which is a bad idea. We've seen that with a group that we think is pretty good still in the defensive backs, not even middle of the season, but a late change in that coaching group. You've brought up several times how that's manifested itself in some miscommunications occasionally.
You like how like all the guys we trust, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't trust or we don't like a guy, then it's not okay.
And the world's on fire.
So what about when the people that we trust talk about the guy that we don't like or don't trust?
Then it shows
we just disregard it.
So remember,
no. Why do we do that?
No,
though?
I know. Hey, let me ask.
Because was Dylan just being a bigger person? That's how we.
You're like, oh, it's player talk, it's coach speak, whatever, right? Yeah. No, but you bring up a good point, because you asked me this, I think, in the offseason. You go, how much do we trust Coach Rule when he makes a decision we don't like?
Yeah.
That's a question you asked me.
I did.
And I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I know this.
We'll see.
I know this fan base, and we're seeing it right now. We're seeing it live, where I don't know how much we actually trust him, or if we just trust him to the point where it serves our purposes.
Well, actually, I don't know.
Well, Steven, I think Steven's going to be here. Maybe he said he's going to miss this one. I don't remember.
So there's something interesting that my man A-Train said, Husker X's and O said earlier.
Mm-hmm.
We were talking about quarterback development, and this is on the heels of Mike providing us with some good discussion points. Although, is Mike Delaware a real thing, do you think, or is that made up?
I think that's his real name.
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, it's his real name.
How would he know?
It kind of sounds like a wrestling name, but like not a very good one.
Yeah.
I'm Mike Delaware.
All right, so that spurred some pretty good conversation about quarterback development, right? So A-Train said that he right now, for a development standpoint, he wouldn't mind having Torres. Everybody kind of like fast forwards to Casey Thompson. He's the first person, and he came. And the funny thing about it is, Torres came up on my algorithm.
Did he?
Yeah, from like QB Plug, or I don't know if you know that guy.
Yeah. No, I see him.
Yeah.
Where's Richard Torres at right now?
Did Torres? Was it San Diego State?
I'm trying to remember. I'm looking it up.
Or maybe I think Torres.
Incarnate Word, I think.
Is it Incarnate Word?
He might have made a stop at
Incarnate Word?
State. Yeah, I believe so. I'm checking.
All right. Well,
we're working on it.
Like me and you are? No, you are. I'm not that smart. I'm just listening to what you're going to tell me is the answer. Although, for somebody that is very efficient, I do hate the way you Google.
You get real mad at me.
I don't, because I think there's like faster ways to do it.
But I'm looking for something like very specific.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to miss a couple times, but when I hit, I will get the exact answer that I want. Like, I'm not looking.
Is this something
talk about typifying your personality. That is an incredible answer.
It is. I mean, it's very much like the way
like if you just would do something simple, like
if I did a more general term, I'd find it fast. I'd find something faster, but I want a very specific answer.
So through all this,
so I ask specific questions.
You just
Incarnate Word.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if he's made another stop, but he was definitely at Incarnate Word.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious to see, like, because he had a lot of tools.
Yeah. I just don't know. Like, so here's where I have a hard time with transfer sometime, right? And I'm the ultimate situations make quarterbacks guy, right? Like, that's my thing. I talk about with the NFL a lot. I don't talk about it as much with college. But I have a really hard time with a guy like Richard Torres, where he's pretty well recruited, pretty highly considered, but goes somewhere and never really finds success.
Yeah.
I have a really hard time sitting here and being like, oh, it would have been different at
Sometimes
Nebraska.
that happens to a lot of Nebraska guys.
Yeah, so I wonder, did they miss the eval on the front end?
Yeah.
Because typically, if a guy's really good,
although landing in the environment that you land in is a bit of a crapshoot if you're not built for it
100%
as a person.
100%.
That's why I'm not big on environments dictating behavior.
But if
your behavior has to be able to withstand the environment.
Right. But if you're not a guy that can withstand that environment anyway, would you have anywhere?
Yeah.
That's
like, where's
the question,
my man
right?
Chief Borders?
Pitt.
I know.
But I mean, there's a lot of guys like this, right? Like Logan Smothers ends up at what, Jacksonville State, right? That's not a highly touted place. Chubba Purdy ends up at Nevada, Nevada, Reno. One of the because he went to San Jose State. The coach left for Arizona. He ends up at Nevada. Like, you're looking at these guys that leave Nebraska as quarterbacks. They are not ending up at these places where you're like, oh man, Nebraska really missed out.
I need to go back and take a deep dive since brought it up. COVID Bruntz.
Mm-hmm.
Where all my Miami guys went. Remember the Florida guys, and then they left, and I need to figure out where all those guys went to.
So there's either one of two things is happening, right? Either Nebraska was missing on a bunch of evals, or they were guys that really needed the right situation to be successful.
Yeah.
And I don't know which it is. It's going to be really hard to tell. But a lot of those guys didn't end up being successful anywhere.
Yeah, well, I hate to give you any homework because last time I did that, we ended up with...
I might take a weekend on this one.
We ended up with one-year phenoms, and is it a real thing, and how sustainable is it?
Spoiler alert, it is not. Not a real thing. Every guy that is a one-year phenom either leaves or backslides.
That sounds generational to me.
Those are the rules.
Yep, that and Trevor Lawrence.
Sunday talent, baby. That's DB. I'm Ravi Lulla. We'll be back tomorrow. Join us at Hurrdat Sports Bar and Grill.
See you. Have a good day. Love you.